Hello and welcome to episode 65 of Gamers of the Lost Mark podcast. I'm your host Antony Chesson, and joining me this week is two gentlemen who need no introduction, which is really good because I haven't prepared one. It's Darren Whittam and James Thomas.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Sorry, I didn't prepare an introduction.
Wow.
After 65 episodes, I'm impressed it's got this far without something happening. So, you know, you had a good run. You had a good run.
Yes. I was really busy at work today.
You should have winged it.
Yes, I was interviewing today, so which was really interesting. Interviewing via VidCon, which was even more disturbing. So I could just imagine that the person who was on the other end was just being interviewed by Max Headroom. There's a lot. There's probably like younger audiences that go, who is Max Headroom? And why is this granddad talking to me? Anyway, how are you guys? How's your week been, James?
Yeah, it's been really good, really good. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I saw you last. Biggest thing I've done since we last met was probably go down to Wembley for the first NFL game of the season. Went with my brother and friend of the show, Manny, for a bit of a day out, and good fun because it was their two teams clashing.
Wow.
So every year the NFL sends over, it's 3 matches this year, it's been 3 for the last few years, but yeah, it was the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jags have been over for the last 4 years, so they're effectively trying to be like the London team. And last year they got their first win after about 4 attempts. So it was a bit of, I guess it was like the home team versus the away American team, despite them both being American. But it was a really good atmosphere. It was what I asked for in a game. It came down to like the last few minutes, last few plays. So nice and close. A bit of a tense game to kick off this season.
It definitely looked. Because it was on normal time and not late at night, as kind of a lot of the American football. It was on Sky. I checked to just see if it was in Ultra HD, but it wasn't, unfortunately.
I didn't watch it.
So I turned it off. I was like, my eyes need better than this. But it was really good. I think there was one team that was kind of winning by quite a lot. It was the Colts were winning by quite a lot, and then or the other way around, and then they seemed to be pulling it back when I was watching it. So it was quite interesting.
Yeah, there's always a nice push and pull because, the Jags started storming it to begin with, and then the Colts mounted a bit of a comeback. They turned up for a few minutes, but then they just lost it right at the end. But I always, no matter what sports I watch, I really like it to be close. Like even when I just watched the Dota finals, I think it was the year before last, I didn't actually care who won. Mm-hmm. I just want to go and see a good game. I want to see something that's tight and close and like shows off the sport to its best. And the Colts and the Jags are a bit average this year. They're not exactly going to set the world alight, but it was a spectacle. And I think that's always what you can hope for.
Fantastic. So when's your next one?
Next one's, I think it's next weekend. They're packing 3 into the month of October.
Right.
Except this one's at Twickenham. So,
okay.
Doing a tour of the nation's stadiums.
Oh wow, excellent stuff! I did see one of my friends put on Facebook. They put a couple of tickets, but unfortunately, one was an adult ticket, the other one was an under 16s ticket.
Yep.
So it was, but unfortunately, it was. But I think that was for the one at the end of October. I think it's like the last weekend of October.
Yes, yeah, they're matching with Halloween this year.
Yes. Oh, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff. So Daz, how's your week been, sir?
Yeah, not bad. Nothing quite so exotic as going and seeing fine sporting events. Did you get good weather, James?
Yeah, we've always been quite lucky actually with that. It's always been at least, mild. And considering it's October, we still went down with just like jumpers and no big woolly coats or anything like that. So yeah, it's still treating us grand.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, I think the seasons are shifting slowly and we get a bit more sun towards the end of the year. So that's brilliant. What have I done? I mentioned last week I was going to work on some pixel art of a Vic Viper from Gradius / Nemesis. So I created that with my fuse beads. And finished that off and framed it sort of last night, so that's great. And I hung it up in my son's bedroom today, which was awesome.
Oh wow!
I might put a picture of it and stick it on the show notes for anyone that's interested. It ended up being about 2 foot long. It's really cool. It's really cool. So I quite enjoyed that. And yeah, it's just so effective. So I might do some more sort of retro pixel art for the VR room, as there's really no decoration in there at all at the moment. It'd be pretty cool. Though you can have what you like in a VR room, really, because the person that's in VR can't see. It doesn't matter what it's decorated like. The other thing I made, I made a dreadful faux pas this week when I like to do things way in advance. So I ordered a lot of stuff getting ready for Christmas from Amazon, and it all came. And there was a particular present for my son that arrived this week, and that was Lego Minecraft: The Ender Dragon.
Right.
So fantastic set that he decided that he wanted, and so I thought, yeah, this will be his main present. So it arrived, and I checked it, got it out of the box, made sure that this set was the right set and stuff like that. The box wasn't ripped and things like that. And then I was busy doing one thing and another, and I forgot about it. I thought, I'll put that upstairs later on, and I forgot. And then later on that day, I got Sam home from school, and while I was hanging up his coat, I heard a shout of elation from the lounge. Oh wow! I heard. And I walked into the lounge to see him hugging the Lego Minecraft Ender Dragon box.
Oh.
And my sort of world fell apart in a small way. I was like, oh, can I forget that? And he was like, is this for me? And I kind of was like, and I thought about. I sort of said, no, it's for another boy. And I heard myself saying it, and I just thought this is the most ridiculous lie. I can't blag it. I don't want to.
How many other children have you got, Father?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. No, it's for.
This is for my favourite child, not you.
Yeah, and I just it's for. It's for you for being so good at school. Because you're so brilliant. Mummy and Daddy thought we'd get you a present, and here it is. It's Wednesday night. Why not have a main present?
I hope he was good at school and he wasn't just kind of mediocre. You set the bar at that level now.
Yeah. He came home after getting in severe trouble. And it's like, here you
go. He
go.
came home after getting D's and you gave him an Ender Dragon. He's like, I'm coasting from here.
We'll reinforce that D. Here you go. No, he's always fantastic. So I could argue that it was overdue, but I would go for a lesser token than something like that. So that's a lesson that I won't forget in a hurry. So I was a bit gutted about that. I don't know what to do really. I do know what to do. We've got to find something else to get. So,
is there a complimentary Lego set?
Oh, there's a few actually, because there's the Ender Dragon, and there's the End Portal, and there's the Wither, there's the Nether Fortress, there's some Overworld ones, all in the Minecraft universe. So there are several, and others were ordered, but that was the main one. That was the main one. That was the one that it was his favourite one. So a result for him. Because he got it on a.
I always find Lego Minecraft a weird thing, because it's both are things that you can have almost infinite possibility with, and yet they're there as very finite sets in some respects. They're there telling you exactly how to build them. I mean, obviously with the Ender Dragon or so, you've got a very specific way of building it. But I can remember with some of the early sets, they always had to put on the box and in the instruction manual, you can build anything. Please don't just limit yourself to these instructions. Lego is pretty much endless. Minecraft is pretty much endless. So please try and use some imagination beyond these instruction sets. Because I remember what someone kept telling me that the Lego nowadays, kids just build the set and almost leave it like that.
That's weird, because that's sort of an adult thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's as if two playthings with infinite possibility, bring them together and they cancel each other out.
Yeah.
And become finite. But yeah, it says on these instructions and some others, because I've been watching some set creations and reviews of the sets online to prepare myself for what to get. It does say this is inspiration included. So they don't say, this is the de facto thing that you've got to build. They say inspiration included, which I think is quite nice. So they must have come away from that sort of this is the set. But Lego's always been open ended, hasn't it? I mean, I just used to have a mixture of everything when I was a kid and just make whatever. I mean, I think when I got Space Lego, which is shows my age, I made the set a couple of times, but then I used what it taught me in the building of that set to enhance and create my own things.
Yeah.
So we'll see. At the moment, the Ender Dragon set is set up as it said in the instructions. I suppose the Ender Dragon itself, that's you sort of set that up because that's like a minifigure. In a way, it's a big minifigure. But yeah, the end itself is you can just do whatever you want with it. But yeah, it's an interesting point that I didn't know kids would just. Do they now? Like the kids, do you think they just like set it up? Like they'll get something like, I don't know, the Ghostbusters Ecto 1. They'll build it and then they just put it on the shelf in a Perspex container. And that's it.
Well,
little 5-year-old walks off. That's me done.
And you're not allowed to touch it. But I think it's down to the fact they're all IPs. Like Lego now is IPs. So, like you spoke like when you had the space set, because I can remember having the space set. There's all these blue bricks when we were younger. But now you don't get the space sets. You get the Star Wars sets, or you get the Batman sets, or you get the Ghostbusters sets. So I guess it's not canon within those universes that you have the hodgepodge of stuff coming together, whereas in the space stuff, and I know you can break down these boundaries, but it's hard, I guess, for you have bought Ecto 1, you have bought a TIE fighter, and so I guess if they're not used to having just a jumble of bricks like we were, then it's not that much of a free-for-all. I mean, I know there are kids out there who will just build anything because Lego is amazing and it's a canvas they can build upon. But you can see why they might get trapped into going, well, don't touch the TIE fighter. It's a TIE fighter. Why would you... No, don't put Superman on it.
Yeah. You can't have an extra wing. Yeah, sort of.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's bad that sort of confining it to IPs, like you say. I mean, yeah, there's Space Lego, and then there was Technics, which again was open but just more technical. But yeah, and then for me it's sort of like blank, and then all of a sudden I'm here, and like you say, it's just IP, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
so it's quite interesting because I'm looking on the Lego website, my homepage. I'm looking on the Lego website.
Your wallpaper.
They do Lego Classics. So they have like developed children's creativity with Lego Classic sets, which are kind of a big bucket of Lego, which is kind of what we used to get. So they still have that kind of, you can do whatever you want, but most of it, when you look on Lego's website, it's all Disney, it's all DC Comics, it's also all of that, Ghostbusters, etc. So
yeah, I mean, the good thing about it, the sets that I've started to do with Sam and stuff, is it's advanced so much in its in the technicality of it, really, because there's some genius methods you employ when you follow the instructions to get things done. And it's like, oh wow, like building the Ender Dragon and little figures that or little tiny spaceships and little kits that I've built, and they're very intricate. It's like, put this here and this here, and then you have a hinge, like things that like you've got about 5 hinges all going in different ways to add different arcs of movement and things. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. I would have never made that out myself, but then I can employ that into sort of my own creation. I'm like, no, sorry Sam, I'm playing. I'm working on this.
One of the good sets, I bought it for my nephew for his birthday, which was a crafting box. It was a Minecraft crafting box, and I think there's like about 8 different kind of inspirations that you can do, including the axe, and there's lots of different. So you can build something, take it apart, build it again, and then start getting used to kind of building with Lego, and then maybe do your own thing. And that was quite cool. It was a really cool little, really big, I shouldn't say little, but a really big box of Lego, and that was really cool. And that was the crafting box.
Yeah, I've seen that one actually. Yeah, that might be a
replacement.
Yeah, or an addition. Yeah, but it's a replacement. Yeah.
Always an addition.
Yeah. So I won't be forgetting to leave things lying around again.
No.
So yeah, that was me. That was probably the funniest stroke terrifying incident when I sort of I rang Claire to say, babe, I just want to give you a heads up. I'm in a situation here, and I really don't want to lie. I don't think that I can get out of this. I've made a massive mistake. I'm going to have to give it him. So when you walk in the lounge, don't be shocked.
Don't freak out.
Yeah, and I was just like, oh,
just get your thinking hat on for Christmas.
Yeah. It was just, just an average Wednesday. Here's a £50 Lego set. And he was so cheeky. He said, "How much is this, Daddy?" I said, "Oh, it's about £50." He said, "Oh, that's not much, is it?" I said, "Well, it is for a Wednesday. It is when it's not your birthday. It's just a Wednesday night. It's a fair bit."
Oh, superb. I guess my question I have for you, Darren, is it's October. What are you doing Christmas shopping?
Oh, I like to be early.
Yeah, there's early and elfish early.
Yeah, man. This is actually the Christmas shop for next for Christmas 2017. No, I just like to get it all done.
Wow.
I always do that. For the last I don't know how many years, just start as early as possible, and then it's all done, and I don't have to worry about it. The only bad thing about it is that I forget what I've bought, and so I've actually come home with presents thinking they're a really good deal later on in the year, November, December, and then I've been like, oh, look at this, babe, and she's like, we've already bought that. And I'm like, oh, and then I like take it back to the shop. But also, as well, and I try to have a sort of resolve on this. It's bad as well because you can keep adding to the pile because you've got the main bit, and then as the months go by, there's deals, and you go, oh, that it's only this, so you end up getting too much. But I just like to get it all out of the way. I like to get it all out of the way and get it all wrapped and stuff. I'm
not surprised. I find it the most stressful time of the year. I actually quite enjoy Christmas itself, but I hate the build up to it. I find myself just willing everything to go away at that point in time, where I have to try and figure out what to get everyone. And I know it's nice when they open the presents and you can see you've got them something they like, but it just, like, the pressure just really gets me after a while. I just either try and just blitz everything on Amazon, or just leave it to the not typically the last minute, but leave it to one of those, right, we're going out of town and we need to find something. There's still a week left, but I am not putting it on about this point. I hate it. I hate it.
Oh wow, I really love it, but I don't like Christmas starting. I mean, yeah, I'm sort of advocating it because I've done my Christmas shopping mostly already.
You're part of the problem.
But I'm not. That's just for me. You see, I don't put my Christmas decorations up now. I don't like have festive stuff in my window and say everybody it's Christmas. It's just a personal thing. I wouldn't mention it now, apart from the fact that I cocked it up. But I don't like that there's mince pies in the supermarkets now, and there has been for a few weeks, and Christmas cakes and stuff everywhere. And it's like, we haven't even had Halloween, and it's just getting earlier and earlier. There's Halloween and bonfire night, surely, to think about. And I'm seeing Christmas puddings all over the place in the supermarkets. Every supermarket's got its Christmas section out, and it's just like, I'll leave it alone. And, I suppose fruitcake keeps for a while, but there's some things that, the sell-by date wouldn't even last until Christmas, but they're selling it now. And that annoys me. I don't like all that. I don't like all that, but I like personally to just get all my stuff ready, because I love, like you say, obviously we all love people to open things that they like. I love Christmas. I get dead excited. It's hard when you're an adult because there's not that much to get excited about for me, unless there's a new console or a game that I really want and that I can also hang fire for. It's always like, I wish it was like the old days. But so if there's a new console, I always wait until Christmas for it. If I can, if there's a November release, for instance, the Xbox came out and I got it on launch day and packed it away, and it wasn't until Christmas morning that I could play it. I was talking, I think, last week about my GameCube, that was also was ordered from America, with Rogue Leader and Monkey Ball and maybe Resident Evil, perhaps, and that was put away and I couldn't play with it till Christmas morning, and it's a bit agonising, but then Christmas morning is so amazing. It's so amazing. So my favourite Christmas is a console Christmas. I love it. There you go.
Cool. So what have you been up to, Anthony?
Well, last week I had a week off last week, which was really cool. Got to do lots of things around the house, catching up with all the DIY chores. We're having the house painted, so lots of that sort of stuff. I mean, one of the main reasons for having the week off was because Gears of War was out on the Friday, so we're having a nice kind of whole day of playing Gears of War. But kind of when you were talking about Lego, I did kind of pop to Toys R Us to have a quick look at the Star Wars Rogue One toys that have been released, and I was very close to having a huge spending spree. If it wasn't for the fact that I've already got about 4 or 5 different Lego boxes that are unbuilt, that Nicola reminded me of while we were there, I would have come away with a couple of things, because they do have there's a droid in Rogue One called K250, and he just looks awesome. So I really wanted a minifig of him to put on my shelf, but K250 looks really cool. But there's some really lovely. There's also a U-wing, which is new to this Star Wars movie, which looked absolutely fantastic. So I might get them maybe when the movie comes out, or as you're saying, Dan, but I'll stick them on my Christmas list maybe.
Yeah.
So apart from that, I've also been downloading again. I'm still kind of getting ready for PlayStation VR. So PlayStation VR is only 2 days away as we're recording. So I'm getting ready for a bit of PlayStation VR. I've been downloading some titles ready for Thursday. I've downloaded 100-foot robot golf, which I think might be playable outside of VR. So I might even have a go at that before. So 100-foot robot golf, Batman VR as well. well. No shocker there. VR Worlds, I've actually got that coming as a disc. I think I spoke about that last week. And I'm waiting for Super Hypercube as well. So Super Hypercube is kind of another one that I want, but that's not up on the PlayStation Store just yet. So I've got some games all downloaded, all sitting there waiting for Thursday. So I can't wait. I'm getting quite excited.
So have you cleared all the space ready? I know you were talking last week about making sure the Kinect was out of the way, the iToy was in its stead.
I haven't got because I've gone for the new look, the new design one, because I previously didn't have a PlayStation Eye. So because I've gone for the new look one, I'm leaving it in its place until the weekend.
Yep.
And then I'm going to because what I've got to do is I've got to unthread the Kinect, bring it through the hole, like maybe with some wire wrapped around it, so I can then pull the PlayStation Eye back through that hole. So I've got some jiggery pokery to do, but I might do that at the weekend. So on Thursday, it's probably going to be a very messy, very wiry movie room.
Spaghetti everywhere.
Nicola will come home and there'll just be wires all over the place, and I'll be in VR and I won't know she's there.
We cannot play until there is order in this room.
I want it all nice and neat. I'll be there with my cable ties, like trying to keep it all kind of nice and neat. But yeah, so no, I'm now working from home on Thursday, which is really cool. So the moment I finish work, I am down in the movie room, ripping open boxes and kind of getting that set up. So which will be quite cool. But like I said, I think I've been listening to and reading reviews of the games that have come out. I think from the opening games that are coming out, I think I've kind of got a good mixture. I've got that Super Hypercube, which is kind of almost like a Tetris coming at you, which looks like it's going to be a ton of fun, and 100-foot robot golf. Just the title says it says what it is. But I think I'm waiting for Res. Res will be really cool, but I think that's coming out a bit later. And the Star Wars experience will come out. I think there's some more games coming out between launch and the end of the year.
Have you got confirmation that you'll get it on the day, on the 13th, or are you getting a bit twitchy if you haven't had confirmation?
Well, I'm checking Amazon on an hourly basis, and
because I know I'd be like, I want confirmation that I'm getting this.
The green line is high. The green line on Amazon, they're like preparing for. It's not preparing for dispatch yet. It's still pre-order. But the green line is almost full. So I'm hoping it still says arriving the 13th of October on Amazon. I'm looking right now. So I've got that, the PlayStation camera, some Move controllers, and PlayStation VR Worlds. So they're all saying they're arriving the 13th of October.
Oh, I really hope.
I was very tempted to pop to my local game and see if they have any, because they were still kind of tweeting today to say that they have some pre-orders available.
You mean just get a backup just in case?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've also got a midnight launch tomorrow, so I was thinking I could get it, wake up, kind of go to bed like I did my Xbox 360, kind of get it, go to sleep, wake up in the morning, and then kind of go maybe charge my Move controllers or something like that.
So I don't want to be the downer, because I know you're excited about this, and I don't want to be the cynical one on the thing, but I'm really worried by PlayStation VR now. I know we've been saying this in the last few weeks as well, that Sony have been really quiet. I mean, this is effectively a platform launch, for want of a better word. This is like somewhere between the Vita, I think, and the PlayStation. This is a whole new generation of games they're going to put out for the public. And they are deathly quiet by comparison to, I think, any other console launch I've seen. I think even the iToy probably got more fanfare than this at this point in time. But did anyone see the giant bomb stream that they did last week?
No.
They did not fill me with confidence about the PlayStation VR.
Was it just the tracking, on the motion tracking, or was it more than that?
It was the tracking, but it wasn't just the studio, because they tried the different lights, they tried different distances, they tried at home, they tried in two different people's homes, and again with different lights. They were worried it was the kit, or it might be a faulty headset or so, but one of their presenters effectively is like the VR veteran. He could do roller coasters and everything, and like iron stomach. But the tracking was meaning he was having to like put the headset down. He was having to step away. He was feeling queasy. So I know there've been a lot of good reviews about PlayStation VR. So this could be a moderately isolated incident. But the fact like 3 or 4 veteran games journalists couldn't get this to work in multiple homes, in multiple studios, worries me. And I don't know whether this is the silence from Sony is just exacerbating my worries for it. The fact that they are trying to keep it on the down low and they're trying to push it out the door. And obviously, I know you guys have had really good experiences with it, so I'm not writing off the platform at all. But it just worries me. Like, is this going to be another Kinect where you need such ideal situations that this will not be for everyone? Because I mean, in my last house, Kinect wouldn't recognise my floor. I had like effectively polished laminates, and so I had an infinite void beneath me, which meant I had to bring a rug in every time I wanted to play. And so if PSVR is effectively the budget VR experience compared to the lighthouses and alike you get with Oculus and Vive, it does mean that even more than before, I want to try before I buy with this one, because this worries me.
Yeah, I mean, I played it. I mean, you were there when I came off it from EGX, and EGX is full of lights flashing, and it's all kind of very kind of brightly lit, and the area that Sony had was quite heavily lit, and it seemed to. I mean. My experience with Batman was absolutely just perfect. You know, it was really, and it was possibly the distance that I've got in my living room. I might even be a little bit further back in my living room, but it was spot on. So because
this is what I wanted to ask: was the demo that you had at EGX? Because I forgot to ask at the time. So it was actually just in the open. It wasn't like you were in an isolation chamber at that point in time.
No, it was like an office from the early 90s. You know, there was just partitions. There was partitions between me and the next
cubicles.
Yeah, exactly. I was just in a VR cubicle, and I was right at the end as well, where the Batman title was. So there was lots of kind of flashing all around, and I was just there, and it was just a cubicle. It was on a plinth, and there was a TV, and the camera was pointing probably at the level that I've got in my movie room, which is why I stopped and kind of took a moment just to kind of figure out how this was all set up, and it just looked absolutely, and it worked perfectly, you know. And so
that brings me back, at least the fact that if they're willing to put it out on a show floor where you have lights and noise that you cannot account for a lot of the time. So maybe because there is possible rumours of the odd headset being a bit iffy in some of the journalistic reviews. So yeah, maybe it's just one of those. But the fact on EGX they were willing to give you out in the open, that at least brings me back on board somewhat.
Yes, well, I think we're playing. We're probably playing Gears of War on Friday, and you'll find out. You're here.
Depending on the mood of Antony in the session.
Yes.
He's shooting an awful lot of things.
Yes, he's really chainsawing everyone.
I've never known you to be angry before, Antony. What is this? It is interesting though, because it's something that you do have to buy a lot on faith, because if you haven't tried it, you're buying on a promise that they can't show you from watching a video. You can't see footage of the game, but they can't represent it on a 2D screen and give you that much of an idea. I mean, they can give you the basics, but they really can't convey how well it's going to work to you by just watching a stream. So lots of people will be buying it on faith alone. Anthony's had a try of it. I've never used PSVR, so I don't know. I've seen some worrying reports as well, as for long as I've been covering PSVR. I'd say about 20% of the time I've read journalists saying the tracking's iffy. And it's the one that I've read the most about people getting motion sick on. Presumably that's because of the frame rate.
It's actually the motion. From everything they said, because the tracking's iffy, your vision swims slightly. So it's not necessarily the frame rate, it's the fact that the world is moving around you and your brain can't really explain why.
Is that not to do with the frame rate not keeping up with the motion, though?
No, that's to do with the motion doing its own thing.
Right.
The experiments that I was seeing from multiple sources was they effectively put the headset down on a table.
And it was all moving around.
And it was still moving around. Just subtly. You could see effectively rounding errors, just trying to focus in round the point. But there was still slight swimming issues. But then, as you say, 4 out of 5 places adore it. Yeah,
and I used PlayStation Move before when it came out, and I found the tracking pretty good on that. So I sort of have faith in those, but then I just don't know what the tracking on the headset's like because I haven't tried it. Hopefully it'll just be a few dodgy ones, but wouldn't they make very sure if you're going to send some hardware to Giant Bomb that it's going, wouldn't you test all those review systems that you're sending out, make sure they were working?
Yeah, You'd hope so.
Like you say, it's an important platform that they're giving lift off to here. But then, like you say, it's interesting, the silence. Maybe you could argue that they say their hardware sells itself, but yeah, it could be construed as a little bit worrying.
Yeah.
Gulp.
It'll be fine.
It'll be brilliant.
It'll be fine.
You've tried it, Antony. You know it's good.
Well, exactly. I mean, we had last week with the whole HDR splitter thing, where it's not coming out when you plug it into the PlayStation VR processing unit. I have to say, Stuart did come good on my request, and he has recommended a splitter that does HDR. So it does HDMI 2.0 and HDCP 2.2. So effectively, you could plug that up. So you could plug your PlayStation into that. You would just use 2 ports on your amp, and then I could, as Stuart recommended, I could probably program my Harmony remote. I could have a PlayStation VR button and a normal PlayStation button that would switch between the two, because I think the unit that he's recommended might even have kind of Bluetooth connectivity via the Harmony. The only downside is it has a price. It's quite expensive. It's quite an expensive addition. So I'm obviously paying for Sony not bothering to license that.
This is a cost that Sony have caused you. Yeah, what is this cost that Sony will have caused you? Should you buy this for convenience?
It's about £200.
What?
Yeah. It's about
Holy monkeys!
I know, and all it does is switch between 2 ports.
Oh my word!
I'm shocked.
Yes, £200.
Is that the cheapest one that can pass through 4K and HDR?
Yep.
That's half a PSVR.
I know.
You can see why they skipped it out of the box.
Yeah. They should. I mean, but the thing is, they should have they should be building that. You know, they should be doing that. They should be putting that in. They should have a factory somewhere that's doing that. But I mean, it would make the cost of PlayStation VR would obviously have then gone up to beyond that price point.
Surely the second iteration of PSVR is going to have that built in. It's a massive error.
Must do, especially if they're now kind of pushing out PlayStation Pro.
So, have you sorted it up, Antony? Because I haven't done the sums really of what the total cost of PSVR is. So because they sell it all sort of. I mean, have you got the bundle that includes 2 controllers and the camera on top? No,
I've just gone. They're all separate packages on their own.
So what's it come to with your 399s and your Move controllers and your camera and your £200 splitter?
It comes to £456.99.
All in? I thought that's not bad. That's not too bad. I thought it'd be more. Is it £299 for the HMD on its own then?
No, it's $349 for the HMD, $68 for the Move controllers, and $39 for the PlayStation 4 camera.
Okay. So it's still pretty competitive.
And then PlayStation VR Worlds is £24 disc copy.
Yeah, I know. But you get that free with it, but some people don't get it free. Is that right? You get it
no,
free
there's a demo disc. No, there's a demo. Oh, you can get that if you buy the premium pack. So that premium pack that you were talking about with the motion controllers, I think that comes with a copy of VR Worlds.
I see. So it's definitely the most competitive to buy, even though it's all sort of split up. You add it all together. It's a good price if you want VR. As long as it's good, as long as it works, okay.
Absolutely. If you put on top of that the £200 for the splitter, that's that's $656, and then the PlayStation Pro on top of that.
Yeah, it starts to add up, doesn't it?
It does indeed. So anyway, apart from kind of making me worry and sweat a little bit, what have you guys been playing this week? James, what have you been playing?
So I have, I don't think it's been too much of a surprise, but Forza Horizon. Everyone else seems to have been playing it, so I thought I'd jump in as well. I know you spoke about it a lot last week, so we don't have to cover it too greatly, but I'm really enjoying it. I'm not usually a racing game fan. I'm the kind of person, I think I've said before, like I'll put on a Forza, I'll put on a Gran Turismo for, get the demo out, show how shiny your new console is, but it tends to leave, like, circuit racing tends to leave me quite cold quite quickly. But Forza Horizon is like, I love rally, like the ability just to go hooning over a course that you don't have to try and memorize, because it's just a long series of turns that you just have to react to. I love racing like that. And then I love the Burnout series as well, where you aren't necessarily just racing. You're trying to do the close misses, like the shearing round turns like Project Gotham Racing as well. Just trying to do that sort of kudos, the skill point style of thing. And so Forza Horizon wraps this all up for me. And it just gives me options. I love what I can do speed traps, I can do the rally racing, I can go and just try and get as many skill point combo as I want, all in the open world. For a non-racing game fan, this is brilliant. This is the kind of thing that brings me into the series, into the genre, and I've loved the fact that I've done most of it co-op online with like you and my brother. It's so seamless that you can just press a button and sync the traffic, sync the time, but you are effectively just all in the world together. You can go off to different corners, you can do what you want, and then come together for a race. It's seamless, it's just social, and it's really good fun. I love it.
It's such a ton of fun. I mean, when we were playing on, was it Sunday night we were playing? And I think we were all spending about 20-25 minutes just trying to get an XP board that was on the roof. And I was just chuckling so much. It was just such a... And that was just... And then obviously we went in and did some Warthog racing, which was even cooler. But it was just so... I think I've said before, and maybe on the podcast I've said that it's so different for me, because normally the Forza games are very much, I'm down in the big room, I've got my headphones on, I'm listening to a podcast, they're very kind of insular, I just play them on my own. And now I'm kind of, Darren and I, we had a social, we got together and had a bit of a co-op with Stuart, kind of joined us as well. That was just like so much fun. And then a couple of us got together and we were just trying to take out XP boards and things. It's just hilarious, it's just absolutely just so much fun, and I just can't get enough of playing this game at the moment. Darren, you're playing it as well, so you're just kind of are you kind of sucked in as well? Yeah,
I'm still loving it. It's pretty much all I've had time to play this week. If I'm going to play a game, I'll play Forza. It's just lovely for all. Yeah, my reasons are similar to yours, James. I love it. I love Burnout, and I loved PGR3. And this seems to bring all that together. I love the racking up of combo skill points and things like that, and the fact that we've got rivals challenges going on all the time. You just get distracted with a challenge. You're just driving along going, oh, this looks amazing. All of a sudden it pops up, oh, somebody's got this much on this thing, and you're like, oh, I'll have a go at that. And then you can just get distracted, just trying to beat your friends, beat challenges, get trophies, do races. Yeah, I love it. It's just so open-ended. I don't think I've ever played a racing game so open-ended with it and offering a vast array of choice. It keeps on giving with the content all the time.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's quite funny. We've been having a bit of a kind of meta game where we've been trying to. There's an achievement for driving down every single road, and there's a group of us that have been trying to do this. And the great thing about Forza Horizon is that when you've driven down a road, it says, okay, you've driven down X amount of roads, but next to you or above you is this person, and they've also done, and so it just spurs you on. I've been kind of waking up early, kind of going down, driving down. I spent half an hour last night because two people had already got the achievement in front of me and was rubbing my nose in constantly on Twitter. They know who they are. So I just spent a half an hour staring at the map because there was 3 roads that I couldn't find, and when I found them, it was just so good. It was just felt amazing. And then it popped. I got that little kind of rare achievement sound just kind of popped in, and it was just so much fun. So not only is the game fun, but the kind of meta game that everyone's creating is just really good fun. And it's great to see that we've got some people joining as well. So we've got some guys, some listeners that are joining in the Gamers Lost Spark Car Club as well. So it's really cool just to kind of see some stuff on there. And I'll start posting some things on the notice board because it's really good to kind of see that kind of grow as well. It's such a perfect Forza game.
Yeah. So apart from that, I've dabbled with a bit more FIFA. I've started playing the co-op club style games. So I think I mentioned a few weeks ago that every season or so I've got a few friends that try and put together a club, and then you go online together and you all take one position. Like, you don't swap around the players like you're in a normal FIFA game. You just take one position and stick with that for the entire 90 minutes. Wow. So we've started this season off. I'm playing on the centre midfield, sort of just trying to shore up the back, make sure the defence isn't too exposed, try and win the ball back for the guys up front. But it's really good. We're playing over on the PlayStation, and it's just this fantastic ability to have cooperation. I think there's so many games that you have nowadays are, your Overwatch, your Counter-Strike, your Gears, that sort of the level of tactical co-op is pretty much covering corners and shooting and like how to DPS and everything else like that. So I love the fact this is a different element of co-op. This is almost like your school ground football kick around, but you can actually run the length of pitch. You can actually do those sort of like 30-yard flying volleys that you could never do in the playground itself. So but it's that sense of accomplishment when you put together a really nice move where you string together some passes, slide that through ball into the box, and someone puts it far too far over the bar. Wee man, damn you! But like when it clicks, it's really good. It's really good, and then you have these fantastic moments where you just get completely undone by a team full of Ronaldos and Messis, and you just sit there in silence and pretty much just have to nod and appreciate that you've been completely undone. But I think as time goes on, because it's only the first couple of weeks of FIFA, and like when the matchmaking balances everyone out, I think we're going to be into a good stint, because I only play this every few years or so, and I can remember as we get towards Christmas, you get into some proper sort of like grinding out results to make sure you can get promotion or avoid relegation online. But it really fosters that sort of like club mentality. It's really good. I really recommend anyone who's got FIFA do try the pro mode online. It gives it a completely different look.
That's fantastic. So how many of you are making up that team? Are you filling out every position, or are there some AI position in there as well?
Yeah, there's some AI. So I think at the moment we've got 6 people in the club. So It's pretty much most of the forwards and across the midfield as well. So, because I've seen some reports today as well, basically saying that the defence is really quite good on its own. So we'll leave them to do that, and we'll mess at the front. But it's good because you don't have to stay in the same position for the whole season. So we've had people switch to be goalie. If you've already won your division or got promoted and you've got a couple of games to spare, you can be silly and everyone just all out attack, or someone be in goal and just play the centre backs. And so the flexibility is nice, and that you get to try different things.
That sounds so cool. And again, it's a bit like kind of Forza, isn't it? Where you have your own game, you're building your own game within that game. I mean, I know that's a mode, but you're also just kind of really enjoying it and having such a great social interaction at the same time.
Have you tried the journey aspect?
No, that really doesn't interest me at all. I really like the fact it's there. I think it gives focus to people who don't just want to play just play a league system, or the be a pro mode of old, where you had to drag yourself up from the conference right to international level without a story, left some people cold. So the fact they're willing to invest in something like this and actually put so much money behind I guess a nobody, this isn't a famous footballer. They are creating a famous footballer. So I think it's done well for them effectively as a brand. You can associate that player with being the FIFA face. It's not just Messi, it's not just Ronaldo. But I really just want to play. I'm the kind of person who just happily, as soon as I get the game, I'll find Spurs, put us in a Premier League season, and then rinse and repeat till next September or so. I really just want to play. And also, there's this real... it sounds really petty, but the fact they've used him as... they branded him with Man United in all of the promo material. And I know you can change the club that he's associated with, but he's just tainted for me. He's already chosen his colours, and if he suddenly rocks up to White Hart Lane going, I want to play for you, I just won't buy it. Won't buy it. He's dead to me.
So who do they get to do the voice acting?
Would you say that most people buy it for that then? Just the fans that buy it year on year, that's what they want, and they wouldn't be so interested in an extra sort of single player campaign thing.
I think there's I think it's getting good reviews from what I hear, and I think a few of our number have started investigating it, and I think it does give a focus. A focus for trying to learn new skills and try and get better. So you can't just pick the best team, pick the best players, and then knock everyone else off the park. So I think it will give you a different avenue, and I do hope this sticks around for a long while, because you see other sporting games like the WWF series or the NBA games that 2K do, and they always get good or bad feedback, depending on how good their story mode is, or whether it's actually there at all. Because I know that it's been going in and out of WWE over the last few years. But it's nice because it gives the whole thing a personality. Because so often when you get a big world-ranging sport, it's just... I guess it's a known quantity, isn't it? You know what football is, and you're either going to buy it or not. Whereas if you can try and put some story, some drama behind it, maybe it'll actually drag people who are on the fence going, well, I've got no friends online who want to play. Whereas this might actually drive them towards the sales.
Yeah, and as a non-football game person, I wouldn't have a clue what I was doing, really. So something like that would be my go-to mode. It sounds like a fun way of learning the ropes. Like a lot of campaigns are, really, a fun way of getting you ready for the online.
Yeah.
But yeah, they apparently the journey mode isn't in the 360 or the PS3 mode versions of the game, which I wasn't aware of. I just thought it was in all of them. But there were some complaints. Maybe people didn't read it properly. I'm not sure what happened, but there were some complaints to a few media outlets this week when people bought the PS3 or the 360 versions of FIFA 17 and were surprised not to get the journey mode in there. So if you're expecting that, anybody that's listening, it's not. You probably, if you're going to buy it, you probably have it already. But I was surprised to see that.
Yeah, they always seem to do that with the Legacy editions. I remember buying it for the Vita, more fool me, and it's effectively they bank when you get to this point where there's another generation of consoles. I think they pretty much keep the same engine and then just update the skins and the rosters to keep them up to date. And generally, I find they're really generally quite upfront with it. Like with the old PlayStation 3 versions, while that was still coming out, they tended to have Legacy Edition in quite large font underneath the title. But I guess if they're still supporting the online modes or so, that might not be strictly a Legacy Edition. But I do feel sorry for people who have caught that sort of misunderstanding with it all. But you've got to draw the line somewhere, I think, with older generations. And we're 3 years in. I think, unfortunately, this is just the passing of time. It's galling for those who might have been caught out with the publicity, but yeah.
Yeah,
you can imagine that this will be the last version, can't you? That there'll be the last version on 360 or PS3. That they'll just focus purely on the next gen or the PS4 and Xbox One and NX probably. Maybe, who knows? Where is that NX announcement as well? I thought we were going to get one.
Yeah, did someone say October? They've still got 2 weeks then, technically.
Yeah. I'm sure we were going to get a Nintendo Direct. Anyway, so that sounds absolutely fantastic. Have you been playing anything else, James?
Yeah, the last one I tried is Virginia. This is another narrative-driven game that people told me about, and I really got hooked in because of the style. It's well worth trying to look out a trailer if you can, because it's quite a low poly game. It almost looks like a PlayStation 1 or 2 game has been reimagined for this generation. So really improved lighting, really improved shaders, but the actual poly count is quite low, and it adds a real charm to it. I think there's a whole bunch of low poly models going around Twitter a couple of weeks ago in tribute to it, and it's the tale. And I won't get into spoiler territory, but the initial bit is that you are an FBI agent, and you set about investigating the case of a missing person. And it gets weird, because again, I don't want to do spoilers, so this will be quite vague in my judgments of it. But it's the most narrative-driven of any of these games, because I think... I don't use the term walking simulator derogatory, by the way. I quite like... I do like walking simulators. So, Gone Home, we've discussed this in the past. We really like those, Firewatch, etc. Virginia is not even a walking simulator, because you don't have control of where you walk most of the time. You are very much put in the hands of a cinematic experience that you can occasionally nudge forward and explore. So there will be certain scenes where you can look around and open briefcases, checking glove boxes, that sort of thing. Or when you go to the house of the missing person, you get to go through their room and tap on certain items. but it's very minimalist in what you can do. So it's not a point-and-click adventure where you have to go and find clues. There will be pretty much just one object in that room, in that scene, that you can interact with, and it's very clear when you can do so. And it does a really good job, actually, of, like, no matter how far you are away, it gives you a clue of where to go, because the cursor will change, and then as you get closer, you'll actually be able to interact with it. So it really communicates that well. But it does leave you at arm's length for a lot of the experience. Like, I think Ali and I got through it in about 90 minutes, less than 2 hours.
Wow.
I think we paid $6.99 for it, so I've got no qualms with it. I really enjoyed the experience, but it left me feeling slightly detached. I think because of the lack of involvement. It felt like it was at times like your QTE. And as the story progressed, this felt a bit more jarring, because it gathered a certain amount of momentum and then went off on a left turn and then tried to conclude things and sew things up and bring it back together, and it was almost presenting me with a conclusion, and I wasn't quite sure how it got there. So it's weird. So it's an experience. I enjoyed it, but as a story, I don't think I got it. And I'm quite happy to admit I didn't get it. I'm sure people will come away from that going, "It was amazing. You've missed this, you fool." So I was just happy to be along for the ride and see someone try something different. It will definitely not be for everyone, because it stretches the definition of game to its limit. And I think in this world where actually it is interactive media, it's really good that someone is trying this, someone is pushing this, and it is a really well-produced and stylized experience. But don't go in there expecting Gone Home.
I mean, I think the good thing about it is that there is a demo on the PlayStation. Yeah, on the PlayStation Store, there is a demo. If you search for Virginia, there is a demo that you can try before you buy.
Cool. Do you know what that's limited to at all? Because it's so short by comparison. I imagine that would have to be really bite-sized.
Yeah, no, it just says try 3 demos. So whether it's like first 15 minutes, whether it's time clocked or something like that, it just says there you got. It's 10% off at the moment for PlayStation Plus members, and there's a free demo.
I mean, I think anyone who has liked the things like, Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, Gone Home, and Firewatch, if you like those types of games, then give it a try. It's less than the cost of a cinema ticket. And I'm all for supporting new experiences. It's about as far away from Call of Duty as you can get, but it offers something new. Whether that's good or bad is definitely in the eye of the beholder. Whether you get it, I hope you get it, because you'll be smarter than me, and I think that'll count to a lot of you out there. Please tell me what it meant afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. But no, I definitely want to try it. I think it looks fantastic. Like I say, the art style just looks absolutely superb. It definitely was one of those ones where I saw it, I was like, ooh. And then when you realise that it is that kind of walking simulator, you are kind of drawn in. It's like, okay, that ticks boxes. Yeah. I want to. It's just that I've been playing Forza and Gears that I haven't been able to kind of get to it. But that looks really good.
Yeah, so apart from that, I've been dabbling with a tiny bit of Hearthstone. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. It's AAA season, so Virginia was a bit of a nice antidote to that.
It was like a palate cleanser before you kind of jumped into the next one.
Yeah.
So Daz, what have you been playing?
Yeah, just Forza for me. So I've already said probably all I can about Forza, so I'll pass over to you, Antony.
Well, I mean, for me, I've been playing Forza as well, playing a lot of Forza. But Friday, as I kind of alluded to earlier, Friday was Gears of War 4. So Nicola and I, we bought the Ultimate Edition, which meant we got the early unlocks. So we got the early unlocks, which was Friday. I did fruit part. I was kicking myself for a couple of hours on Friday, because the whole idea was we kind of woke up, we had some breakfast, and then we would just jump into Gears. And midnight, I think on the Thursday, we were playing Forza, kind of quite close to midnight, so I was like, right, I'll wait for the unlock just to make sure everything's okay. So on the big TV, Nicola's TV, as it's now called, so I fired up Gears, and there it was. And I had a quick look to see what it was like in HDR, and there was just this gorgeousness. And there it was, no update, no patches, everything was fine. So I was like, I'm happy with that. I'm going to go to bed, wake up in the morning, we'll be ready to go. What I didn't check was the other Xbox, and the other Xbox still hadn't downloaded the game because it gets kind of switched off. It hadn't downloaded the game, so I had 56 gig to download on Friday morning. It took about 2 hours to download 56 gig, and so we were lucky it was that short. So we did play a bit of split screen Horde for a little while. So we played a bit of Horde 3.0 while we were waiting. Well, kind of out of the corner of my eye, I was just watching this percentage bar slowly creep up. And at one point, we fired up Gears because Xbox does this thing where it says, right, you can now start playing the game. I was like, excellent. So we went in, and it actually said there's going to be 20% left of the campaign. So it had a little kind of percentage next to the campaign, and then that finished. And we're like, excellent, we'll start it. And then it was like, you can't play online whilst the rest of the game is downloading. So we had to wait for the rest of the game to download. But that kind of, like I say, it took for about 2 hours, and then the rest of Friday, I was kicking myself while I was doing it because it was just a rookie mistake. But then for the rest of Friday, we just played Gears of War, and I am so in love with Gears of War 4. It is amazing. I mean, looks absolutely stunning in HDR. It's just gorgeous. It is just, I kind of almost feel like I'm a PC player when it's in HDR because it's just absolutely stunning. It's just some of the best graphics I've seen so far this generation. But also on the non-HDR version, the colours are incredible, and it's really nice having them side by side. Even though one's a big TV and one's got a slightly smaller TV, it's quite nice having them side by side because I can instantly see what HDR is giving us, but I can also see how amazing this game is. You don't need HDR, and I will never say that ever again, but you don't need HDR because this game is just absolutely just gorgeous and glorious, and it is just such a great game. I'm still kind of very much in the Gears of War 4 hype. We haven't finished the campaign yet, and I would say that this is my favourite Gears of War so far. It is just amazing. It takes it back. I won't spoil it at all, but it takes it back to the first Gears, where you don't quite know who the enemy is. You don't quite know what this race of these monsters are. You don't know who they are or where they've come from. And it's back to that, and it's just absolutely fantastic. And it's quite interesting because we did get a question on Twitter from a chap called John on Twitter, and he just said, as a Gears fan, do you think I need to play all of the first Gears before jumping into 4? And I don't think so. I don't think this is. I think I can liken it to Episode 7, to Star Wars Episode 7. This are two new characters who I just absolutely. There is one of the characters. They're just like you say. You got JD, who's Marcus's son, and they are just some fantastic characters. They're really good characters, and I'm really enjoying playing with them. We've seen from all of the material that Marcus is back, and he is just so cool as well. And I'm just like I say, I'm co-oping with Nicola. We're going through it on I think it's hardcore. It's kind of normal +1. So we're going through it on that, and we're just having a ton of fun. It's just so much fun, and we're just enjoying it every step of the way. And I think we're close to the end. We had a bit of a session last night, but we're close to the end, but we've still got some more gaming to do.
Cool. It's interesting because I think I've heard so many good things about this that I think I was quite surprised, because when Halo 4 came out, I think it was met with a bit of a, not so much a ho-hum, because it did get quite good scores. So I think I'm just always slightly sceptical about when our trilogy gets sewn up and a new one comes back together. Is it going to be a case of people are excited to see it again, or are people disappointed by the setup? So to hear this is actually met your expectations and then some is cool. I really like the fact that there is momentum. They didn't just lose it when Marcus hung up his chainsaw. It's here we go again.
Yeah, and it really is. It introduces a new enemy called the DBs, which are robots, and they're kind of working for the government, and they're really cool. They're really good to take down. Their new weapons. So the weapons that they have are new weapons, and they feel great. It was Nicola kind of always makes me chuckle when she plays Gears of War, because she was slightly disappointed because I think we maybe played an hour before we got a Lancer. So she said it doesn't fit. It's like Halo to her. She needs to have that weapon. She needs to have that weapon. And with Gears, she needs to have that Lancer with the chainsaw. And when she got it, and it's a beautiful payoff when you get it. She was really happy. She was like, yes, I've got it. And it was so much. We were just like, we had a lot of sugar on Friday. There was a lot of kind of unhealthy snacks on the table while we were playing, but we were just like really loving kind of every minute of it, and like I say, we did jump into Horde 3.0, and Horde 3.0 is so good. It takes Horde, and then it takes the next iteration, which I think was in Judgment. It takes all of the fortifications, but now you can fortify wherever you want, which is fantastic. So you can just you open up a box, and then you can retrieve the fortifications, put them anywhere you want, so you can really barricade yourself in. And then as you kill the enemies in Horde, they kind of give off currency, which you then have to go and collect before the end of the level, otherwise you lose it. And then you need to go over to this box where you got your fortifications out of, and you need to deposit your money. Bit of a tip, you can turn on auto depositing, so all you have to do is just bump the box and it just hands it over rather than pressing X and going into the box.
So I'm now just imagining Horde mode to be like a giant version of the Crystal Dome.
Yes.
Okay.
So you're just going, you're grabbing it, running into the middle, kind of dropping it off, and then that gives you more.
I'm on board.
And I mean, we were playing it on normal. We got to level 10, and came unstuck. And it's really hard. So I'm kind of thinking, I think like we're scheduled to play soon. So when we do, we might like kind of knock it down to casual, to just because this is challenging. This is hard. It really is. It really is hard. And it kind of it ramps up and ramps up. And at the end of every 10, you get, there's a boss. And it's just, it's so much fun. Honestly, I just absolutely love Gears of War.
Cool.
And I haven't even taken it online yet, so I haven't even gone on to the the cooperative, the versus mode. So, but at the moment, co-op campaign and Horde are just ticking all of the boxes, and it kind of almost feels like it's quite funny because as Nicola and I are playing through it, we're going, don't worry too much about the collectibles, we'll get them kind of in our next playthrough. So it's already kind of like we'll do this again type thing. It's very good. It's absolutely. I'm just having a ton of fun on it.
So how easy do you reckon it'll be for a Gears of War noob like myself to jump in? Because I think the last one I played was 1. And I pretty much, I'm a Halo fanboy, and so I didn't really get to grips with the Gears. Roadie runs cover quite sluggish movement by comparison. How will it be for me just jumping in at 4 then?
Yeah, I think it all depends. Are you planning on doing the campaign, or do you just want to jump into Horde? Given
that I've still got Forza, FIFA, Hearthstone, and other things to play, I will probably just go with the Horde at this point in time.
Then I think if we all kind of get together there, we can have 5 people in, and you do need to pick a class as well. So you pick your class, and I think we went through that last week, where there's all those different classes. Like engineer is where I've kind of settled, because it just turns your pistol into a repair tool, so which is really cool. But I think you'll be fine. I think, like I say, we'll push it down to casual. We're kind of 5 of us will be playing. There was lots of covering, especially one of the maps that we've already found. There's lots of areas there where you can kind of get deep down, and you can wait for, but they do come at you. So you just need to know how to rev your chainsaw, and you're good to go.
I will practice before Friday then. So.
The sniper rifle is a fine gun as well. I think that's kind of Nicola's kind of weapons of choice are a sniper rifle and a lancer, and she seems to be happy with those two. So it's kind of, and like I say, you can always put a turret in front of you for some extra help as well. So I think you'll be fine. I think you'll be fine. And one of the things that before I get off of my Gears of War gush, one of the things that they do in Gears of War 4, which I think they did in Gears Judgment, is that sometimes in the campaign they'll have an area where they almost turn it into Horde, but within the campaign. So you have a couple of waves, and you're waiting for maybe an extraction or something like that, but you've got waves and waves of enemies coming at you. And you have your fortification box as well. And I thought that was really interesting to kind of bring that dynamic into the campaign.
Nice.
It's very cool. It's very cool. Like I say, I'm absolutely loving it. And then the last game that I'll just briefly mention, because I only had one quick go of it this evening before we podded, and that is the Mantisburn Racing. So Mantisburn Racing, the guy sent me over a code for Mantisburn Racing. I think it comes out on the 12th of October. So I downloaded that and had a quick play, and that's just so much fun. So it's kind of what we were playing at EGX, James, and it's just such a great racing game.
Cool. Yeah, I had a great fun with it. I think Micro Machines crossed with Ridge Racer crossed with Dirt.
Yes.
Yeah. As soon as you sent that tweet out earlier, I was racing to the store. I've now got the choice between trophies and achievements, though. That's gonna be my choice, because I know you're going for the Pro, so that's your 4K. I know you're done with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because Polarcats is going to be running in native 4K on the PlayStation Pro.
Shiny.
Absolutely.
Cool. Before we disappear onto the news, though, I just wanted to go back to John's question via Twitter.
Yes.
So his was, as a Gears fan, do you think I need to play all the first games before jumping into 4? I've always thought this is like an interesting question all up, because I had the same questions about Halo and Uncharted when they came about. I had a friend who just picked up a PlayStation 4 for the first time. Like, he said, should he get the other, the Nathan Drake collection that you had? I don't know what you guys are, but I pretty much always say, don't go back.
Right.
Like, apart from something like Mass Effect, where maybe you're like building up through a trilogy, so that storyline really counts for something at the end. I tend to think with more action games like Halo, like Gears, like Uncharted, that you are actually going back so far in game time, like actual game design, game world, game development time, that the first game in those series can seem antiquated by the time you actually pick it up. That you see there's so many niceties, so many edges that have been smoothed off, and just lessons learned, that there's a risk that if you are a gamer now, if you play games in this day and age, that if you suddenly jump back 10 years to play the first Gears, the first Uncharted, you will probably be put off from the series. You might be able to appreciate the spectacle, but the mechanics might grind you down.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, we had the same was when Nicola and I played Gears Ultimate Edition. We had that moment where you're like, "This is amazing! Look at it! It's all shiny!" And then you were like, "Oh, I can't jump over that, and I have to do this way to cover." And there was, as you say, they have iterated throughout the series. So you're then kind of used to the latest version, and to come back, it sometimes is a little bit jarring. And I've actually heard there's very similar criticism about the Call of Duty. So Call of Duty Modern Warfare is remastered, and if you've pre-ordered on the PlayStation 4, you can get the remaster is now available, and then the actual game comes out in November. And I've heard that, it's like, it looks amazing. It looks like a 2016 game right now, but it runs very much like a 2006 game, and then the mechanics and the movement are a little bit jarring and could put you off. What do you think, Darren? Have you ever kind of gone back to a game that you maybe, like, a new one's come out and you've gone back to the previous trilogy?
Yeah, it's strange. I can't think of one, because being a gamer for so long, I think I've mostly been there, and I've not found...
You've done it all, son. You've done it all.
So there hasn't been a trilogy or a series that's tempted me to go to. That a new iteration has made me think, I'll jump on board for this. So that's a bit strange. But... yeah, I see what you mean about them feeling dated. I think it depends on the player. If it's somebody that's gamed for a long time, or somebody that's got an interest and is interested in having an appreciation of where the game came from, and they were happy to look at it that way and sort of forgive it its flaws, a bit like you did with Uncharted, you could feel the difference and see the difference. But as a gamer for so long, you could appreciate where it was and how good it was for its day. Whereas somebody that's say a new gamer and just bought a new system for all the new shiny and whiz bang, may not be as tolerant for that, and they may not be as interested. So it just depends on how interested they are on visiting that history and visiting that sort of origin of a series. But yeah, you see, I felt that with a few games. I felt it with Ratchet and Clank, the remaster, as well. It just didn't.
Right.
It looked beautiful, but I couldn't put my finger on it really. But it didn't feel as robust as games do now. Yeah, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what I'd say on it. For me, I think that most games, if not all games, are designed, even sequels, are designed with money in mind, and they want to sell as many as they can and get them off the shelves or off the online stores to the gamers, straight to the gamers' pockets. And so, I think they're designed that you can just jump in. I was trying to think of one that would really harm you to jump in, sort of midway. And apart from, say, an episodic content game like Life is Strange or the Telltale series, that kind of thing, I think you're probably okay. I mean, you could. I haven't played BioShock 2, but I imagine that's probably okay. BioShock Infinite, you could just play without playing the previous BioShocks. Even Mass Effect 2 was designed in such a way that if you missed Mass Effect 1, you could answer questions to build a profile of the kind of character you wanted the guy from the last game to be and how he acted in certain situations. So I think they've all got sort of an inbuilt protection against it just because, they want everybody that possibly can to play a game.
Yeah, I mean, Gears of War 4 does a really good thing there. They have a prologue. It kind of almost takes you through 1, and it takes you through kind of where they left it on 3, and shows you some of the characters. It really does that kind of really nice kind of building. So if this is your first Gears game, you understand where the world is right now. Not necessarily the characters, but you understand where the world is. I think the only thing that you would miss talking about Gears is that when you are introduced to Marcus, there was that moment, there was that moment that made Nicola and I smile, that when we saw Marcus for the first time in it, looking all grizzled and old, but there was that moment, and I guess if you were jumping in for the first time, you wouldn't have that payoff.
Yeah, as a sort of veteran of a series, you get those moments, don't you? You get that payoff that you're familiar with the canon, and you get those nods and those in-jokes. But when you just jump in, you don't notice that. But I think the games seem fully fleshed out in their own right as well. I really believe that. Deus Ex, Human Revolution, that also has a prologue as well. It gives you a sort of the whole story of the last game in a big cutscene. Should you choose to select it before you start the game, which is quite a nice touch. And it's difficult to move myself away from having not played the game. Obviously, I can't take that out of me that I played the previous game, because I was just trying to imagine if I hadn't played it. I'm pretty confident that you could jump into Deus Ex just and not worry about it. I think you could, and it creates its own story. There is the odd nod to the old games, but it's usually, it'll say, for instance, it'd be something like, when that thing happened back at whatever, when this happened. So as well as alluding back for people that played the last game, and you're like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Also, it's rounded enough that you can sort of get a bit of backstory in just a couple of lines anyway about what happened. So the new gamer is also sort of aware. Obviously, they didn't play the whole through that whole event. But I think they usually just put that in there so that it works for both ways. It works for the newcomers and it works for the old hands as well. And I think that's rightly so as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was the great Stan Lee who said, you write a comic book like it's somebody's first. Like, every comic book is always somebody's first comic book. So that's how you need to write it. And I think a lot of, as you're saying, Darren, a lot of the time the games, even though they are number 4 in the season, it's there with that kind of, this is my first Gears of War. This is your first Gears of War, and it's just going to set you up, and then off you go, and you'll just enjoy it. But yeah, no, there is. It could. I think if you kind of really liked Gears and then you went back to 1, I think you're right, James. I think it would feel a bit weird, a bit clunky.
Yeah, but time passes, things change. So I guess it's the kind of thing as well. If you really like 4, then there's a nice little history visits, like going to the museum, going, how did this start? Where did we all come from?
Yes. Who's that? Yeah, who is that old chap? I mean, the great thing, I think, with every copy of Gears of War, I'm seeing it, that you get 1, 2, 3 and Judgment is now available as a digital download. So it says we gave away some codes over the weekend for some Gears games, and they kind of went quite quickly. So it's quite interesting to see that people are still very much kind of into Gears and want to kind of have a look at the backstory. But yeah, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely fantastic. So, with that, let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, another game delay hits PlayStation 4. A long-awaited sequel has finally got officially confirmed, and Valve are in trouble with the Gambling Commission. Darren, the first piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yeah, what we've got here. We've got some news about the game. Remember Inside?
Oh, yes. Game of the year so far, I think. Well, maybe Gears is better. I don't know. Oh,
the debates begin.
Yeah, so we all loved Inside. It's a great game. And I read about this, the guy that did the sound for it. His name is Martin Stig Anderson. He was the sound designer and composer for Inside. And when they were working on it, you remember that music? It was so atmospheric, so sort of creepy and gripping. Mm-hmm. Well, there's a reason for that. And the reason is that they reverberated the sound through a human skull.
What?
As you do.
I mean, I was reading this, I was thinking, am I reading something
Game
about
of the
Hannibal?
Year.
Is it Hannibal Lecter or what? So he was trying to... He likes the idea of trying to get different sounds and stuff. You know, it's his profession. And he had the idea of working with a human skull because he thought that it was interesting, the concept of how the sound of your own voice sounds very different in your own head. And you know how you hear yourself recorded and it sounds different?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was thinking about this. And so he had an idea of trying to recreate sounds like they would sound if they were happening inside your own head instead of hearing them externally. And that thought led him to acquire a human skull and experiment with it. And so what he did, he set up...
I love how he acquired a human skull on eBay or the dark side of the internet.
We do not know how that skull was acquired. So he played the sounds through the skull so that it sort of vibrated and resonated through the skull. And so that sound that we heard in the game, those effects and that music, a lot of them will have been recorded after passing through a human skull. So that's bizarre, isn't it? That's why it was so creepy.
It's bizarre. I'm looking at some of the pictures. It's just odd because just on he's got his laptop open and there's a skull there that looks like it's wearing some sort of headband, I'm guessing to attach the wires to it. And then just off to the side, you've got a jawbone again with wires coming out of it. So it looks like he's using every piece possible, and there's wires coming from. It's like a horrific scientific experiment. Yeah,
it's like an episode of Hannibal or something going on.
Because it looks proper creepy. It's a proper human skull. It's not like a model that you get in a science shop.
Yeah, it's bizarre. It's amazing that he came to that. the idea of experimenting with this. Certainly, I would never have dreamed it up. So he said that once playing through the skull, he found that the sounds acquired a quality that he likes, a lot more reverb and things like that. And I'll put the link in the show notes. And there's 2 clips of a particular sound bite from the game Inside, both before it went through the skull and after skull. And you can hear it. You can definitely hear the difference. You can really hear the difference, and it does sound just more atmospheric. You can hear the resonance and vibration. So, yeah, if you want to make your music sound creepy, then maybe you need to skull it.
So my wife works in a museum, and there's always debate about how you store human remains, like from whether it be from like 100 years or 1,000 years ago. Because obviously everyone, 99% of people have descendants or relatives that obviously cared about this person that has actually then just been interned in this museum, and the respect you should show them because they were people. So going from that, and like the amount of lessons and like courses and lectures that I've seen on the subject that Ali's been to, then to see them just basically wiring up to an AV unit is insane.
It doesn't make for a good picture, does it? Really, when you're looking at it, it would have made it playing the game a lot more creepy if I'd have known that the sound effects had sort of been filtered through a real human skull. A real human skull. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. He says that the teeth fell out of the skull because of all the vibrations. Eventually.
Superb.
So there you go. There you go. I can't add anything else to that. I just thought it was worth mentioning.
Why isn't this our and finally? This is amazing.
I thought we'd kick off as we mean to go on.
We've lost James now. He's reading it and just kind of like I bet you want to listen to what those tracks sound like.
All I know is he must have worked from home, because can you imagine that in the studio? Like, what have you, Martin? What is that in your bag?
Yeah, it's like you arrive at work, the police are outside. It's like, don't worry. It's just my human skull sound setup.
What's the teeth next to it? There's one picture where it's got kind of a jaw. Is that his jaw? Is that fell off? Is that kind of like pre-base or something?
I don't know. Maybe that's when the teeth fell out because of the vibrations. I don't know. Maybe that's the. I don't know. I dread to think.
Wow. James, next piece of news.
Yeah, this is not going to follow. So yeah.
Talking of skull audio.
So it's all come to a head at Valve.
Oh, wow. Oh, awesome.
So Valve are in trouble with the gambling authorities over in the States. Back in June, July, I think I brought up on one of the news sections the fact there were a lot of Counter-Strike Go gambling sites that were basically caught in the act of nefariously trying to get people to come to their site. So Counter-Strike and a lot of the Valve games have an API that you can attach to effectively trade in-game items outside of the game. So it allows other websites to set up, like trading rings, sort of like almost auction sites where you can buy other people's in-game items. And quite a few gambling sites sprung up around this. Effectively, you being able to bet your very special, rare weapon skins in Counter-Strike Go against other people's. And although they are technically just weapon skins, they are all with a rarity, have a dollar value attached to them. So you found that there were stories of people betting weapon skins that were worth thousands of dollars. I mean, I have no care for painting my gun pink or putting an eagle on it or something like that, but there are obviously people who do really, really have a want for some of these things. And yeah, so the gambling stuff sprung up around it, and the controversy came where some Counter-Strike Go streamers who were advertising these sites were actually found out to be the founders of some of these gambling sites. So effectively just being a bit duplicitous and advertising these sites without declaring they were involved with them. So, yeah, at the start of the summer, Valve basically started coming down on these people. First, they distanced themselves, saying, they were just using their API. The Valve had not received any money. There was no business relationship. These people were just profiteering off the API. A few weeks later, they basically sent out cease and desist letters to about 25 gambling sites, giving them 10 days to either stop it or they would shut them down, terminating their API accounts. And also Twitch banned several high-profile CSGO gambling streamers who were basically streaming, just doing lucky rolls on their site, so they were accused of rigging. So that was all the basis of it. This is now a couple of months have gone, and the Washington State Gambling Commission, so Valve are based in Washington, have now come out and basically handed Valve an order to take action. They basically say that despite them not being directly involved, they are giving these companies the means and the why and where to actually be able to do this, because these gambling sites have got a lot of underage gamblers on there. They're not legislated. There's a lot of I think they actually call them an unregulated black market. So the Gambling Commission is coming down hard on them, and they even say that they contacted Valve in February about this. So before the whole stink kicked up, this was they were aware. Valve was aware, and they've basically been given till Friday to address the concerns or possibly face legal action. So it's basically the whole controversy keeps rumbling on. Valve thought it was done and dusted in the summer, but here they are, the legal and government officials coming down and slapping them with an order to do something about it.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, it's good that they kind of, as you say, the Washington State Gambling Commission are actually acting on this and trying to stamp it out. So, wow. So I wonder if do they say if Valve are going to be hit with a hefty fine or?
There's nothing firm, but they basically say they could be hit with civil or what's the opposite of civil? Civil or proper judicial means where they can basically be taken to court or possibly someone could face prison time. So there's a whole range of options open to them, but they're not necessarily guided in on one just yet.
Wow. Maybe if they get a hefty fine, we'll get Half-Life 3, so they can make up the cash.
But had you ever heard of these gambling sites before this kicked off?
No. This was the first time I'd heard of it.
Yeah, until these stories started dropping, like in the last few weeks, I'd never heard of CS:GO, and certainly not gambling for skins. I couldn't believe it when I saw a video, one of the example videos of where he won a lucky one, and the fact that he won this skin, and he was so excited, and the value of it, I was amazed.
Yeah. It's one of these sites that just, I think it really makes me feel old at that point in time. It's like, what are the kids doing? It's like betting the Pokemon cards.
How could I not know about this?
Yeah.
It's such a massive phenomenon. If it's worth so much money, I've got no clue.
Yeah. Well, the report that was handed down to Valve basically said that approximately $1 billion in skin gambling has occurred just up to the start of August this year. So it's mega money going on.
Wow. And I watched some videos on YouTube that various people that were in on this admitted that they should have disclosed that basically that even if they weren't running the sites, which in a lot of cases they were partners or they owned the actual companies, that companies approached influencers on YouTube and they'd say, yeah, we can fix it for you. That you'll win something good. So the guy would get paid for doing it. He'd also keep the skin, which had got a value as well. But they didn't disclose that. And then there was a big hoo-ha that, oh, I should have disclosed that. Oh, I'm sorry. And it's kind of like, and it makes it look so exciting. You know, you've got the kids watching. You shouldn't be getting the kids to gamble anyway. And maybe this sort of skin lotto thing is a way of circumventing it. Maybe that's not seen as proper gambling, or maybe it wasn't until this has come to light. And it was just like, oh yeah, I've got 5 spins. I'm just going to stream the spins. You know, who knows what I'm going to get? And it's like, oh my goodness me, I've just won this. You know, and that's going to influence people to. You see why they were doing it, but it's just such a big deception.
Yeah, it's shady as it just makes me cringe at that point in time.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah,
and they're not appealing to they're not appealing to adults, really, are they?
No. You think like most of the Counter-Strike players are probably in their teens, early 20s or so, the ones that are really hooked on it, and it's just duplicitous about trying to get them to hand over their cash, especially when they're involved. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see where this goes. Who know what turn it could take? But yeah, Valve have until Friday to address these concerns, and I will keep an eye out for what happens. But yes, the next piece of news, Anthony, is with you.
It is indeed, and it's not good news. It's not good news. Sony are hit with yet another game delay. This time, it's not The Last Guardian. That's still coming out in 2016. This time, it's it's Gravity Rush. So Gravity Rush 2, which was the only other first-party title that Sony has now been delayed. The creator of Gravity Rush said that Gravity Rush 2 is the conclusion of Cat's journey, and we want players to have enough time to deep dive into their story. So basically what they're saying is that they're actually blaming the packed AAA season, that packed landscape of games that we have. They're actually saying that there's so many games that are coming out that if we put Gravity Rush out in December, then people are not going to be able to play it, or not going to be able to play it how they want it to be played. So they're pushing it back to January the 20th, 2017, because it was originally supposed to come out at the very start of December, which is the same date as Final Fantasy 15 and The Last Guardian. Well, I think it was about 3 days before The Last Guardian comes out that you have Gravity Rush 2. So they've delayed it until the next year, where they reckon people will have more time to play. As a bit of an apology, they didn't just release a trailer, which is kind of what normally happens these days. They're also giving a previously announced premium DLC will be made available for free as well. Not just for people who have pre-ordered, but for anyone who downloads or buys Gravity Rush 2. So you're going to get an extra piece of content. But that just kind of leaves. It does only leave The Last Guardian as Sony's last first-party title. Again, this time last year we were at the same place saying that Sony had no first-party titles into holiday season, and the same thing has happened again.
Yeah, I think we spoke about how actually before all this shift around, that start of December point was actually a really nice place for Gravity Rush, because it was actually after all the AAAs, but given the shuffling around that's happened with all the minor delays left, right and centre, yeah, it makes complete sense for this. I think if you put Gravity Rush out at that time with what's around, you send it to die. So I think this is better for the devs, and it is probably better for the players, the fact that you won't feel guilty about playing Gravity Rush instead of all the other huge AAA titles around there. So I think this is doing the game a service.
Absolutely, because as I said, the two games that are around it are Final Fantasy 15 and Last Guardian, and if you look at Gravity Rush, it really is kind of, that's the audience that they're after. Those two games, that audience, are not just kind of saying that if you play those games you'll play any of these, but that is the audience. That is typically their demographic. So you're right, by pushing it to January is a safe place. But that means that Sony have pushed Horizon Zero Dawn, they pushed Gran Turismo, and now they're pushing Gravity Rush all into the kind of first quarter, Gran Turismo, we don't know when that's coming out, but Horizon Zero Dawn, which is March, and this is January, so they're both pushing both of those into first quarter 2017. So you're still holding on down for The Last Guardian. You still reckon it will be there?
My loyalty's getting tired, but yeah, it'll be there. It'll be there.
But, I
won't be vastly surprised if it's not.
Yeah, when I was going through the PlayStation Store, looking for titles to download for PlayStation VR, I saw it there. It's there. It's on the store. I think it's about £40-something on the store. It's $49.99 on the store at the moment. So, which is a bit of a scary thing to maybe pre-order, depending on the time. It could be quality, so we could have a good 7 hours worth of play or a good 6 hours worth of play. But I definitely think that might be a game, unless you're kind of really invested, like you, sir. It might be a game where you wait for some reviews or some let's plays to go out before you maybe stump up the cash for that.
Yeah, I've been there in this story from the beginning, and I'm not going to buy it on pre-order. I'm going to wait, and as hard as much as it pains me to say so, I'm not going to be rushing in. I've got a bad feeling that I think they'll get it out on time. I hope they do, but that doesn't mean I'll be buying it. I'm gonna see what it looks like, what it plays like, and I'm not sure it's going to live up. I think it's going to have the same sort of feel. I feel this already from what I've seen of it so far. A bit like we were talking about before about playing old games that are HD mastered. I think it's going to. I've read rumours of that, from people that have reported playing it. And I think it's going to suffer from that. I hope it doesn't, but I think it will. And if it does, I waited 10 years. I'll just give it another 2 years or 3 years. I'll play it on PlayStation Plus.
It'll be on PlayStation Plus in no time. It says on here on the PlayStation Store that you have 59 days to go. So they have 59 days to delay it.
What's another few years, eh?
Indeed, if you pre-order now, you get a nicer dynamic theme as well.
Oh wow! Actually, now you told me that. PlayStation.store.com. Just get that ordered.
Awesome. So it doesn't leave it. I guess Sony. Saying that they only have The Last Guardian as their only first party title. We are 2 days away from PlayStation VR. There's a whole console launch, as we were talking about earlier. There's a whole kind of peripheral there. There's lots of games that are in there, lots of experiences that are in there. But it is very slim pickings. But you could argue the fact that there is so many of the third party titles that are out or coming out around that time that maybe you don't need them.
Do you think it could be a feasible strategy that by sort of choking the release of games on the PS4, the standard games, and leaving PSVR the sort of the best way to a new experience, that's a viable strategy to shift more units?
Maybe. I mean, I think you're going to struggle. They have said, I think Sony have said that they're going to struggle to get a PlayStation VR unit this side of Christmas if you haven't pre-ordered. But it doesn't say that they won't be available, and I'm sure they're going to be trying to keep it going long into kind of November, December, trying to keep kind of manufacturing and getting them out. But you, especially kind of in the US, I think they're already saying that you're going to struggle if you haven't pre-ordered.
Yeah, I mean, I know what I'm like. If I didn't have any kind of VR and there was nothing else on the horizon and no other big hitters, it's sort of like, oh well, I wouldn't mind something new for Christmas. This is the best thing to get. May as well just get it. So there may be a lot of people that are in that boat and just think, well, it's just people lucky enough to be able to just pay that money on a whim, and there's plenty of them out there. Maybe they'd do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Next piece of news, sir, is with you.
Me?
Yes. You are Darren Whitten.
Blooming it, I am indeed. That's so weird. I had another thing right over me, and I thought it was going to the next one, so sorry about that. So the next piece of news.
That's all the talk is on Guardian. It's just distracted him. It's knocked him for 6.
Yeah.
I'm perplexed. I'm staring into the middle distance, thinking about it. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing because I was so hyped. Anyway, so... yeah, the next piece of news, the Galaxy Note 7, that's been having some problems over the last weeks, as I'm sure you've all heard, has now been officially announced from Samsung that they're going to cease all production of the Galaxy Note 7 due to them setting on fire and stuff. And yeah, so it's actually made it as a mod into GTA 5 as a bomb. So it's made it into Grand Theft Auto 5 for all the wrong reasons, this phone. So you can use the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 as a grenade or a bomb. And it's got, it's pretty volatile. But it's quite scary, all this blowing up a phone, isn't it? I think at first they were just offering a replacement thing. I don't know anyone with one of these phones. So I don't know anyone that this has happened to. But seeing some of the news stories... and I'm pretty sure this could be used with VR. And I was just thinking, what if it exploded into a ball of flames while it's being held sort of 2 centimetres from your eyes with Google Cardboard? And I was like, that's really terrible.
Yeah, I mean, they have actually, I think this morning, or last night, they announced, Samsung announced that you should just turn your phone off, and they're looking into a replacement scheme. This is a red ring situation, isn't it? The red ring of death from Xbox time. This is that situation. This is a ginormous faux pas for a mobile phone manufacturer.
Yeah. Judging that this was lauded by a lot of people as the iPhone 7 rival at Christmas. I
believe it was selling like hotcakes.
too hot to handle. So yeah, it's. I don't know if it's worse than the red ring of death, because this is actually, this could cause harm. Red ring, it wasn't actually exploding; it's just the nightmare of your console not working. But my goodness me, yeah, they just announced that they're just ceasing production and turn them off and just don't touch them. It's and cordon off the zone where the phone is. So,
it's the brand confusion as well, because I think it's not just because this is the Note 7. The Galaxy Note 7, but if you just see it on the news saying, Samsung Galaxy phone explodes, so there's nothing wrong with the Samsung Galaxy. So this is effectively tainting not just that one brand, but it's going to ripple across all their other products as well. This is a huge thing, and it'll be interesting to see how they come back for it, because they've effectively written off half of their phone models for the next year, I'm guessing, at this point, if they're going to try and keep the Note and the Galaxy normal in step. I mean, they're probably... I wouldn't be surprised if we never saw another Note again, just so they could effectively, raise that name to the ground and start over with a different brand name, so they can claw back something and disassociate themselves with this farce.
Yeah, but it's tarnished, isn't it? They're going to have to distance themselves and just regroup, and they're going to have to come back with something that grabs the consumer enough to make them sort of forget about what's happened and get the confidence back. And they're going to have to do something pretty special, I'd say, for the consumers that have got, the loyal consumers that have bought the phone and been affected by this. So yeah, it's a bad shout, and for it to be that much of a calamity that it's made it into GTA 5 as a grenade, that's just they say there's no such thing as bad publicity, but I don't know about this one. So yeah, there you go. So over to you, James.
Yep. So this is that's slightly more positive after the last two negative ones, but it was TwitchCon. Twitch's annual get-together, and while they were over there, they decided to announce the most watched new releases of 2016. So amongst this entire shindig, they announced Twitch Prime, that was basically allowed you to wrap in with the Amazon Prime membership and get extra subscriptions, and it will give you extra freebies on all your certain titles like Overwatch and Hearthstone. But that's been covered elsewhere, and you know me, I like a good stat. So I really like digging down and seeing what the most watched new releases of 2016 were. And there's a few obvious ones. So Overwatch was number one.
So give it to us. What's the? Have you got a
we have
top
got
10?
Please tell us.
Okay, yeah. So does anyone want to do a jingle? Da, 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 da. Coming in at number 10. So starting at the top, Overwatch was number one, then followed by Warcraft, Destiny, and The Division at 2, 3, and 4. Then we started getting into some interesting territory, because there's some of these games that I know, but some games that I didn't realise were so big to actually warrant a huge viewing to get them into the top of the charts. So at number 5 is H1Z1, King of the Kill. Which I think is like a zombie. Is that the Sony zombie online sort of like DayZ sort of thing? I should have probably googled this before talking about it. But yeah, it's like an online zombie game. Then at 6 we've got Arma 3, which I thought was already out, and then at number 7 we've got The Culling, which I've never heard of before as well. So it seems like 5 and 7 are these relatively niche titles, because it's definitely, they haven't set the Steam charts alight, but they're there pushing up the Twitch numbers. Then at 8,
it's the CS:GO audience.
Yeah.
that's they're all watching these. We don't know anything about them. They're in a different dimension.
It's the kind of thing. I was listening to another podcast that mentioned something similar. They're saying that as soon as they saw these, it made them want to go out and find out what other areas they were just completely unaware of at this point in time. What areas of gaming have we just been completely missing because we're so fixated on our own certain strands of, walking simulators, Forza, and chainsaw guns?
Yeah, it's bad when you consider yourself a diversified gamer to realise that there's all these facets popping up all around that have just passed you by. It's disconcerting.
Yeah. But I guess it's not just what are good games, but what are good viewable games. Because some of these make sense just in the sense that people want to see what they're like, what's going on, and especially like with Overwatch, there is that competitive capacity that can make it as a good spectacle. Whether you just drop in for 5 minutes or watch a championship. But when you get down to the likes of, I guess, so No Man's Sky was at number 8. I guess so many people wanted to watch that to find out what it was. And also because of the diversity within the game itself, that was a great way to experience just the technical achievements of the sheer scope, the sheer style of planets that you can discover.
Yeah, absolutely right at the start. I bet that was kind of high on the charts. And it's quite interesting how this is kind of most watched games of 2016, of new release games of 2016, and No Man's Sky has only been out for kind of a month and a bit, hasn't it? So it's quite interesting to see that it must have hit some real high numbers on those release dates. And
then rounding out the top 10, we've got Clash Royale at number 9, and then Stardew Valley at number 10. So quite a sedate game to round off the last one's Stardew Valley, a bit of a creation style game, shaping your world. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting to get that cross section of what people actually want to watch, and also give me a few more games that I need to Google.
But you did, because you always expect like the Twitch will be your World of Warcraft, it will be Overwatch, it will be kind of The Division or Destiny. You kind of just think it will be those that people are spectating, but it's really interesting, like I say, especially that bottom row, from 6 to 10, they're really kind of interesting games. Excellent stuff. Well, the next piece of news is with me, very quick one, but it's Gears of War. I can't stay away from it. Gears of War the movie is back on. So Gears of War, they announced back in, I think it was about 2007, that they said when Cliffy B was behind Gears of War, he did say that there was going to be a movie, and then that went very quiet. But just last week on a live stream, Rod Ferguson, who is the Gears Viking on Twitter, he announced via via a live stream of Gears of War, they announced that the movie is back on, and it's back on at Universal Studios. So they said they haven't got any information to share just yet, so they don't know who the writer or the director is. But a Gears of War movie is definitely kind of in the making. So I'm quite excited about this. I think the only kind of downside, or the only kind of caveat that has to happen, is that these people have to be big and chunky. You have to have big and chunky characters. It's like I got Warcraft on 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray today, and I've never played Warcraft, but I love the style of those characters. They're just kind of really big and chunky, and that's exactly what you need from a Gears of War.
So I'm already thinking it has to be involving people like The Rock. And Dave Bautista, who was in Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I think you've probably got it. And the way they can deliver meathead lines as well. I think you basically got to pack this out with WWE roster.
Yes, there you go. And that's it. That's all they need. And then, I remember there was it like Michael Clark Duncan? He was really big. He was the Kingpin in the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. He was ginormous. He was also in the Green Mile. He may have passed away. I'm not sure, but he was in the Green Mile. And you just thought, God, he would make such a really good Coltrane. He would just be really cool. He could do that. Woo, yeah. He just like he could really handle that. And I just thought, it's going to be so cool. But it did get me thinking. Kind of a quick question to you guys was game movies. Is there a game that you would like to see as a movie, or do you feel that maybe kind of it gets wrapped up in games nowadays that you don't really need a movie? But if there was one, what game would you like to be seen as a movie?
It's a weird one because I don't think many games would necessarily translate well to movies. I think those that will have to be so just like down the line on their lore, otherwise you'll just really upset fans. If someone made a Halo movie, I would love it, because obviously that was rumoured for over 10 years now. That was it Blomkamp who did District 9? Yeah,
it was indeed. Yeah, Neil Blomkamp. He was given money by Peter Jackson, wasn't he?
So it was rumours that he was going to do it, and District 9 pretty much showed what you could do with sci-fi. But I think you're either going to get people who are really pernickety with what the law is going to be on something like that. So you've then got to stretch it out to, well, actually, could you get away with something like, well, just create an Indiana Jones style game with Drake. And I think that could work quite well. Assuming that he doesn't have to murder everyone he sees, I think that could go down really well.
Well, have you seen that there's a new TV series on Sky One, and it's called Hooten and the Lady, and it's very much like they've said someone has just looked at gaming and they've got Lara Croft and Nathan Drake, and they've made a TV show about it. This guy he's going all around the world. His kind of quests are taking him to the kind of desert, the Sahara deserts, to the Amazon rainforest, and it's really interesting. I've only kind of seen clips of it, and it's been on, and I've kind of watched a bit, but it's very kind of, he's very kind of rugged. He's kind of looks a little bit like Nathan Drake, and I was just like, someone stole some stuff from gaming here, and it's called.
Yep, I can see. I've just googled it, and I can see the half tuck. Yep, that is.
Yep. It's there. I'll tell you, it's there. What about you, Daz? What is there any game that you would like to see turned into a movie? BioShock, maybe?
Oh man, yeah, that'd be good. Like BioShock Infinite, if that was made into a movie. And this is all sort of with the caveat that the film ended up to be as good as you expected. That'd be fantastic. Which is often not the case. But yeah, imagine if they made a BioShock Infinite film that lived up to the expectation. And I also thought that like a Mass Effect film would be great of the first trilogy. If again, it lived up to what I felt the game was like, and that'd be great because, as we were saying before, sometimes it's just time's gone by, and it's no one's going to go back and play that first 3 games. But if there was a film that was sort of up to standard that people could watch that they could watch before playing Normandy, for instance, that'd be a fantastic thing to have out there, because it'd be a lot easier to watch 2-3 hour film. Sort of like summed it up in a nutshell, rather than having to go through 90 hours of a trilogy. So I think that'd be quite interesting, and it'd be great if it could be done. Games I thought the Indiana Jones thing. I thought Spelunky, the movie, as an Indiana Jones film would be pretty good. I thought Tim Burton could do Binding of Isaac. It should be quite interesting, awesome. Very dark.
Yes.
and sort of weird.
That's a great call.
Yeah, I think it'd just suit him so well, and it'd be a bit weird, that film. Monkey Island, the movie, I think would be awesome. I'd love to see that. I mean, the game's got the story there, but it'd be just so nice to see the respect paid in a big blockbuster Monkey Island film. I thought Portal, the movie, would be good as well.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Though I suppose it'd be a bit like that Cube film. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Where people were locked in the cube.
Yeah.
It maybe would strike some similarities with that. But I would love, and I don't think it could be done, and it'd be such a risk to just mess it up, but a Dark Souls film, because there's or it'd be more like a trilogy, just like the games, but because there's so much lore in there. But again, the fans would be all outraged because you could never fit everything in. But it would be good to do that, a Dark Souls film. And for me, because I don't really sift through the lore, I sort of enjoy it almost just for the challenge and the boss fights. It would be great to just have that lore delivered to me without having to read loads of items in game. I'd really like that.
You mentioned a Dark Souls movie directed by Del Toro.
Oh yeah, like Pan's Labyrinth.
He would be.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. He would be perfect for that, wouldn't he? He would be absolutely spot on.
Oh man, it would. My final thought would be Papers, Please, the sitcom.
It's a bit of a dark twist on it all.
I couldn't think of a more sort of opposite. I was trying to think of sort of the antithesis that I could come up with, and I thought Papers, Please, the sitcom would just be a terrible concept. I still haven't played Papers, Please yet. I really want to. I really want to play that game, and it's available quite cheap. Sure, is it out on console now? No one knows.
I don't know.
It was available on the Vita. It was available on the PlayStation Vita, so I don't know if it's available on the PS4.
It must be. But yeah, I've wanted to play that for a long time, and I was thinking about this question that reminded me of it again. So yeah, I'd love to play that. But yeah, only joking about Papers, Please, the sitcom. But I think out of all of them, I don't know. I think Mass Effect or Dark Souls, like equivalent of what Lord of the Rings was to the books, sort of thing. If they could do that justice to the source material, it'd be great.
Yeah, they're absolutely superb. So next piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yeah, and that news is that Beyond Good and Evil 2 has been confirmed at last. Wow, which is so great. I mean, I loved the first game, many people did, and there's been a clamour for years and years and years for a sequel. There's been hints at it. There was a video years ago that showed some footage of what everybody presumed meant there was a sequel coming this way. It first came out in 2003, and it was such a hit. I think maybe, I don't know if it was an instant classic. Maybe it was one of those that word of mouth sort of spread around, because it took me a few years to play it. But it's got its fan base, certainly, and people have been desperate for a sequel ever since, and it got a release on Xbox 360, which is the version that I played, touched up in HD. And when I played it, I absolutely loved it. There was a little bit of that sort of limitation of age. For instance, you couldn't change I couldn't invert the stick on the camera and things like that. Mm-hmm. But all in all, I really, really liked it, and I could fully understand what all the fuss was about with this game. And so recently, all this time after 2003, Michel Ancel, who designed the first game, started posting some teasy images on Twitter and started to get people excited. And then all of a sudden, after a couple of images went live, Ubisoft stepped in and said, yep, we are doing it. We're going to confirm it. They're delighted to confirm that Michel Ancel is currently working with Ubisoft Montpellier Studio on a new Beyond Good and Evil game. So that's awesome. The weird thing is the picture, really nice artwork that he's released, shows Paige the pig, who's a friend of Jade in the game, both as adults in the first game. It shows Paige riding on a guy's shoulders as a piglet, as a child. So it's as if he's in his infancy. So there's suspicions it could be a prequel. So that'd be interesting. But maybe it's just to throw people off the scent, and maybe there's a bit of a flashback in the game, and then it does go on to uncover what happens at the end of the big cliffhanger that we've had since 2003 on Beyond Good and Evil, because it ended with a bit of a cliffhanger. So it would be a shame if it ignored that and went all the way back. I don't know if that would happen, but you never know. You never know. The other news on Beyond Good and Evil is that if you haven't had the good fortune to play it, and you've got a PC and you wouldn't need a very powerful one to enjoy it, Ubisoft are giving it away free from October the 12th. It's a free download as part of their 30th anniversary celebrations. But you've got to go and sign up to their Ubisoft Club to do that. But if you do that, you can download it for free. And they're bringing out other games every few weeks. There's another one free at the moment to celebrate their 30th anniversary. So if you haven't seen Beyond Good and Evil and you fancy a slice for free, go along there and have a look. It's a great game.
Fantastic. I bagged that the other day when it was on Xbox Games with Gold, I think last month or the month before, and I had a quick, and it's for the 360 version, that HD version that you were talking about,
the one I Yeah, that opening scene's beautiful. I love it with the sort of the Tai Chi sort of very zen-like opening, and there's so many good games around. It's probably hard to take the time to persevere with an oldie, and again, that would probably make a very good film as well. And somebody could just sit and watch a good film, and they'd be up to date with the story. But yeah, I persevered with it, and I found it clunky. I mean, I'm talking when it came out on 360. It was a few years ago, 5 years ago or something, or maybe more. And it was clunky then. So yeah, I bet it feels a bit worse now.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels very much kind of like Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie. It feels kind of very much. It must have been around that same time. On the was it on the original Xbox or was it on
original
the N64?
Xbox and GameCube and PS2.
It was original GameCube. That's it. Yeah. I knew I played it on a Nintendo device. But that's just like it's such a great game.
I've got fond memories of it. It's weird because I can't actually remember too much about the storyline, but I can remember it just being really. I think it was compared a lot to like a Zelda Lite at the time, wasn't it? It's like there was dungeons and adventuring and different weapons, if I recall correctly. But I can remember it being just like a cult classic at that time, that everyone I knew was pretty much playing it and raving about it. So it was that sort of slow, as you said, Darren, word of mouth that sort of got it in the public consciousness. And so
a slow build.
Yeah, which is why I guess it took to I think it was 2008 where they originally announced there was going to be a Beyond Good and Evil 2. But yeah, it almost feels like a Kickstarter type announcement that again I can't get excited until I see something more than a piece of art, because that looks cool, but where are we going? What sort of game is it? Because you can't just have the same game you had 15 years ago.
Yeah, just test the audience with some art.
Yeah.
If you get enough interest, enough hits on the site, it's like, oh, okay, maybe it's worth a punt. Yeah. So, did you ever see that? I think it must have been. It was on some conference, E3 or something, and it showed this footage that looked amazing of a sequel. It was like on one of these sizzle reels for a new console. It might have been PS3, and.
Was that the one where their car was parked on the road?
That's it, yeah. That's
yes.
Right. Yeah, it's very old memory for me as well. And it was like, oh, wow, this must be coming. And then it was just silent. But that fueled the fire. It's not right to do that.
But there was also some animation tests as well, where you had Jade running through an environment. And she was leaping through doors and kind of jumping around very tight alleyways as well, was around the same time, which kind of, again, fueled that flame that there was going to be, that the next game was coming, that we weren't far away from it.
And I mean, for me personally, once Last Guardian's actually here, whether I buy it or not, and whether it's good or not, I'll need something else to fill that hole. So Beyond Good and Evil 2, looming in the distance, will do that.
You've still got Final Fantasy VII. That's never coming out.
When did they say that was supposed to be out? Because they gave a date, didn't they? Did they say 2017?
Did they give a date for the first episode? Because it's going to be episodic.
Yeah,
but I don't think they gave a date, did they?
No, I can't remember either.
We'll add Shenmue to the list anyway, so don't worry. There's always vaporware out there.
What are you talking about? These are all the games I backed.
You got Shenmue, and you got Half-Life 3, and then Left 4 Dead 3 as well.
We haven't technically got it on our news, but did you see Voodoo Vince has been re-announced? This is from the same era as the original Beyond Good and Evil. It's like, what on earth is happening? Who on earth was calling for that? That's brilliant.
I think it was Phil Spencer, wasn't it? Phil Spencer has been talking about VV Vince a lot. And then suddenly it's just like it's being remade. It's just like, I think old Phil was the one that was kind of pushing that.
Wow,
one.
Such power.
Yeah, well, if you're going to do that, you might as well greenlight your own games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, indeed. So I think it was on the Unlocked 201, which was after an E3, where he was saying that was kind of one of his favourite games, and one that he would love to see kind of remade. And then cut to a year and change later, and it's being remade. But so yeah, though he has gone on the record to say it's one of his favourite games. So there you go. So, excellent stuff. So, James, next piece of news, sir, is with you.
Yes, so it's Pokemon Go. I have probably stopped playing. I don't know if you two are still playing at all.
No, I've stopped clicking on that icon whenever I go out. That used to be my de facto thing, but I noticed the other day that I'm just not doing it anymore.
Yeah, same here. I think after Gamescom and stuff and Eurogamer, where there was nothing there. But
yeah, the buzz is cooling down. I'm still playing it.
Oh, cool. Well, what's the best thing you've caught?
Oh man, well, it's difficult. It's very subjective. I don't know. I mean, I play it with my son, and so
fair so.
The best thing, I don't know. I like Rhyhorn because I like the name, and I'd never heard of that Pokemon. We caught one the other day called Hitmonlee, which I'd never heard of before as well. That was a good one. I was like, wow, Hitmonlee. An egg hatched, and Sam went, "It's Hitmonlee." I was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure that's a Pokemon? Is this pretend or is this real?" And it was Hitmonlee, and there he was. And this is a Pokemon who's got another one, like a brother Pokemon, an opposite Pokemon, if you like, called Hitmonchan. And Hitmonlee punches, and if you get Hitmonlee, he kicks. If Hitmonchan kicks, Hitmonlee punches. But I don't know. It was probably the best thing about it was when we first evolved a Psyduck. It was a Drowsy into Hypno, because that was sort of the first time we hit about 600, 700 CP. We got a Gold Duck from a Psyduck. That was pretty awesome. When a 10k egg hatched and I got an Electabuzz, that was good.
Nice.
He was sort of 900 and odd, and it was like, wow. So yeah, we're still playing it. If I didn't play it with Sam, if I didn't do it with my 5-year-old boy, probably wouldn't be playing it now. But it's good fun, and me and him go out on poker hunts and stuff, walk about. We drive up and down the Blackpool Promenade, there's loads of poker stops all along there, so we collect the poker balls and hunt. Claire drives, and me and Sam sit in the back with the iPad and get chauffeured about looking for Pokemon. So
do you just shout directions? It's like, quick, there's a Drowsy to the right. Go right.
Stop the car. I don't care if there's cars behind you. Stop. We need to get this Pokemon. Or it's like, quick, there's a gym there that we can take. There's a slot free at that gym. Quick, turn left. Do a U-turn. So, yeah, still playing it. And it does seem to be dying off, though. There's not as many people obviously playing it where I am.
Yeah.
The gyms are starting to look like it's the same old suspects holding the gyms and things. Basically, I think because only certain kinds of people are going to persist to get up to these kind of levels, and once they're at a certain level, and the Pokemon in the gyms are like 2,000, 3,000 CP. You haven't really got to look in, have you? And so it takes a little bit out of it, and so.
Yeah,
it's difficult to be bothered, but I'm still enjoying it because Sam enjoys it, so that's fine. If it was just me, yeah, I'd probably be out of the bubble.
Yeah, because have you dropped any hard cash into it at all?
Actually, it's funny you should say that, because only on the other day, at the weekend, we went to the pub for something to eat, and there's a poker stop there, and we'd run out of pretty much everything. And so we were like, what we're going to do? Because we wanted to keep Sam entertained, but me and Claire wanted to chat as well. And he likes to play Pokemon Go. And so what we did, we considered it as part of the round. So it's like we had a drink each for me and Claire, and we bunged our first in-app purchase to Pokemon Go, which I think was £3.99 for, I can't remember, 500 gold coins. Or something like that, which we spent on a lucky egg, an incense, and a lure, and we cracked them all at once, and then we actually didn't do that much chatting because we were all watching Pokemon Go, just seeing what would arrive. So we bought. I considered that we bought the game. Then I was like, well, we paid $3.99 now. We've contributed to it, but it gave us a lot of fun. We've gone out on the beach walking. It just adds an extra dimension to going out and about without having to, specifically go to one of these rough and tumble places for children or the zoo or that and the other. You don't have to go out and spend £20-30 and be able to have a good time with your child. I wasn't really in a position to do so, but I think for the summer holidays it was really well timed for a lot of kids and a lot of parents that would go out with their children to the park and things like that. So I think for that it was really good. And when it first happened, it was very good to see these groups of people all enjoying themselves and out doing something. I thought that was real genius. I thought it was great. So I'm still enjoying it. I'm wondering what they're going to do to keep it going. I suppose they promised trading and battling, and they can obviously add more Pokemon, but it's going to be difficult to get back those people that they've lost. I think the zeitgeist, once it's gone, isn't it? You've got to wait for the next thing to come along.
I think the thing they really need to put back to get, because I've really dropped off. Like if I go to a big city, because I live in a small mining town, and there's nothing here apart from rat-a-tats, pidgeys, and drowsers, and it just gets boring very quickly.
Yeah.
So every time I go to Birmingham or Nottingham or something, I'll crack it open just to see what's around, to see if it's worthwhile. But because you can't actively track them down, that's the thing that's missing for me, which is why I've dropped off. But I have to admit that I have put money into it because, well, again, being in a small town, there's not that many Pokestops or so I almost felt there was a dearth of balls and alike. And
if you run out of balls, you're guaranteed to see something new you really want to catch, and you kick yourself. Yeah. I had a friend, actually. It's funny you should say that, because a friend of mine, he's got an Android phone, and I don't think you can do this on iPhones. I tried to see if I could do it. I wouldn't have done it anyway because I wouldn't want to cheat. But he can spoof his GPS with some app or program or something. And so he said, look, I'm in London, and he showed me Pokemon Go. And I was like, where's this? It's not where we're standing. And he was like, yeah, it's London. And it was Leicester Square while we were stood here. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he was like, yeah, basically you've got this program and it makes the GPS think you're anywhere in the world. Yeah. And he said, so I've told it that I'm in London. And I could see the map, it kept flicking up with where we were as well. But for about, 30 seconds or so, you could see London, Leicester Square. And it was just pop, 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 pop. Pokemon. I couldn't believe it. I was like, flipping out, man. That, if you just spent a day there, you'd cap the limit. And I was like, it made me want to hop on a train. It'd be cheaper than spending in-app purchases on trying to get to that level. It was like, honestly, it was, unless it was a glitch because of the way that he was doing it, but it was just Pokemon after Pokemon just appearing everywhere, Pokestops everywhere, like one of the most famous places in the country. I still didn't expect it to be that rife with it. I was like, wow, I want to go now. Yeah,
I think that's where it suffers. It just seems a bit uneven with it all.
It is. It's all about the density of where you live, and it's not really. It's not equal in any way. You got poor. I read something about poor kids in hospital wanted to play it, but they couldn't. Because they're just in bed in hospital, and I thought that was really bad for them. And there's some Pokestops or gyms near, but you can't do anything because you're just laid up. And people in towns like yourself, where there's just no Pokestops there, or if you live in in the sticks on a farm, and you just can't play it. So it's good if you're in the city. If you're not so hot. It's not too bad here. It's not the same as being in a city, but there is, being a bit of a tourist place. There's quite a few landmarks, and that, as I say, down the Golden Mile, there's loads of Pokestops and things. Having said that, I don't see many rare Pokemon very often. It's still, Drowsies, Pidgeys, Weedles, what have you, most of the time. So yeah, I thought I'd have more. I mean, we've just cracked level 22, and I thought I'd have seen more Pokemon. I've seen 3 Pikachus in all that time, for instance. So yeah, but that's how a game like that exists, isn't it? It's on the rarity of stuff.
There's been a report into the first 3 months of them trading, and pretty much you can see the general trend has pretty much reflected our experiences with it. So there's a global marketing intelligence firm called Newzoo, and they've basically done some research and released the data up until the end of August, so pretty much only up to a couple of weeks ago. And you can see it started off ridiculously healthy. Like at their peak, they were getting 27 million downloads a day. And so the first month, the first 5 weeks or so, this was huge success. Like there's a massive spike in what they were doing. Like 27 million downloads a day. That's nuts. And that they were taking $16 million a day at their peak.
Wow.
So, that's a lot of rounds to entertain small children there.
It is, yeah. I consider mine overzealous. That was one.
But it's dropped off massively. Like straight after that 5-week initial bump, it's really flatlined. It's still really good numbers. They've still got 0.7 million a day downloads, and it's still generating $2 million a day. But from that massive spike, it's really healthy. But by comparison, so many people have dropped off by the looks of things.
Yeah, it's just sort of like the hardcore left behind, but still, because it was such a phenomenal success, even when you knock down, I don't know what it is, like 80% less, it's still a massive number, and then you've got your small percentage out of that number that's willing to pay a bit of cash, because the numbers are still so big. It's a cash cow for the Pokemon company.
Yeah, that's it. With I think it was 550 million total downloads. So, even if you've only got 10%, even if you've only got 5% of that, you've still got a hell of an income coming in. So that's not too bad. But it was interesting to see what we were all thinking in graph form. There was the fact there's big spike and then the tail coming off it. But yeah, I think they're going to have to do something massive to get us all back involved.
But and that's the thing, because of the nature of it, because the people that are stuck with it will be high, it'd be very difficult for them to come up with an idea that levels the playing field. Yeah.
I think the interesting thing that came from the report as well was the fact that it wasn't just simply focused on Pokemon Go's success as Pokemon Go. They were saying that this has basically opened the field to allow Google's huge data centers to be incorporated with other games, that AR has now broken into the mainstream, and just how this, I guess, game that has encouraged people to get out into the open, like these three big things that never really found a niche before, suddenly they all combine. So it was interesting to basically almost see this pulled apart into the analytics of it all, saying, look, other people are now far more interested in these three distinct areas. But yeah, it was just another graph that always keeps me amused.
Yeah. Excellent stuff. Well, the last piece of these I've got also contains a graph, James, as well. So you're going to be, there's some more data coming at you right now, and that is that Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which is coming out in November time, I think is normally Call of Duty time. On the back of the box of the Ultimate Edition, the Legacy Edition, which comes with Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. It also comes with the remaster that we were talking about earlier, the Modern Warfare remaster. It comes in at a whopping 130 gig download. So if you've got the disc, you pop the disc in, or even if you're downloading it from the store, you will need to free up. You'll need to do some clearing off, because you'll need to clear up 130 gigs worth of space. And that's that's a whopping. I mean, considering that a lot of the PlayStation 4s are 500 gig PlayStation 4s, that's a big chunk of your hard drive just for that, for Call of Duty.
Wow.
That's a lot of data.
Yeah,
it's a lot of data. So it's 90 gig alone for Infinite Warfare, and then the other 37 and change is for the remaster. Then obviously there's some zombies in there as well. But that's just even 90 gig just for Infinite Warfare. That's a lot of information.
The density of the assets is just staggering, isn't it? When you think that something like Beyond Good and Evil, because we were talking about that before, was probably about 300 meg. And I can't do the maths to work out how many times that is into, say, 90 gig or 130 gig. But whatever that times is the game really that much more, got that much more fidelity in the assets? It's amazing, isn't it? The upscaling with the resolution, I presume it's textures, I presume it's graphics that's the lion's share of it.
They must have some mad FMVs in there. Just like huge, long videos. That's the only way I can think they've used that. Textures are huge, but that's a lot of textures.
That. I mean, obviously there's a bit of VR in there, so there's some VR stuff in there, but there's just a lot packed into that 90 gig. Now, I did promise you a graph, and the graph that I've got via a Polygon article has the Call of Duty install sizes throughout the entire series. Now, we had...
I'm clicking on the link. I'm not... There's... Oh, mama.
So strap your graph trousers on, because we have. So I'll start with the kind of first one. So Modern Warfare on PC, obviously not the first Call of Duty, but Modern Warfare on PC was 9 gig on PC. You then have Modern Warfare 2 on PC was 13. It wasn't until they started getting to Ghost, and again these are all PC, that you started to ramp up. So Black Ops 2 was 16 gig. Ghost was 40.
So that was the first next-gen one, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, yeah. So Ghost was the first one that kind of appeared on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 when they were kind of the infancy. And then Advanced Warfare ramped it up again to 55. And then Black Ops 3, which was last year's, it increased again to 60. But then we still have this 30 gig jump from Black Ops 3 to Infinite Warfare.
I wonder whether they've just split the multiplayer and the single player and just let each game do its own effectively. Just put what you want in there. As long as you can fit on one disc, we don't mind.
Well, I mean, the interesting thing is that Modern Warfare, which is 10 years old, which is why they're kind of rebadging it, so that was 2007, was 9 gig. The remaster of it is 37.
Wow.
It's like somebody's not zipping up those assets.
Just careless now they've got these Blu-rays to fill.
Yeah, they just don't care. They're trying to fill all of the space on the Blu-rays. But that's just really interesting that we've grown from 9 to 90 in the space of 10 years. And so... But I thought that was quite interesting. But if you are planning to buy that game, either disc or download, you need to make sure that you have 130 gig free. So that is just a whopping one. And so with that kind of graph-tastic note, that is it for our normal news. It's time to head over to the VR news desk for the latest in VR.
VR desk.
Well, hello there, and welcome to the VR desk. Here we are at the VR desk, exploring the corners of the world of VR. How are you doing, guys? You ready for some VR news?
Always. I'm very excited for VR this week.
I can tell you're both chomping at the bit for this week's VR desk. Well, let's get on with it. The first bit is, I've called it Oculus Corner, as I've got a few items of Oculus news all together for your delight. The first one is Oculus Touch pre-orders have opened. So Oculus Touch, of course, is the hand controllers for the Oculus that have been waited for a long time now. Well, they're finally ready for pre-order. Shipments are going to begin on the 6th of December of this device, and it's sort of you hold like almost a Move controller for the PlayStation, and then it's got a band that goes around the back of your hand and a joystick on the top. Probably a bad explanation. Look up some pictures, please, for the clarification of what it looks like. But the interesting thing is the price. $199 is the price for that. You get the 2 controllers, you get an extra sensor, and you also get a Rock Band VR connector for when that game comes out. And you also get Insomniac's The Unspoken and VR Sports Challenge. So it's quite a nice package there. You get a couple of games, you get a sensor, you also get a peripheral ready for Rock Band VR, but it doesn't say that you're actually getting the Rock Band game. But the interesting thing I thought is it puts it sort of about the same level as the Vive once you add in the touch controllers, which you always said. I remember when they were both due to come out and it was always like, well, Oculus is cheaper, but Vive's got the room scale. But it turns out, when you add in the motion control, it's really about equal. I don't think Oculus has yet got as much room scale, as much room that you can move in and be sensed, but it has got some. It has got some, and that's where the extra sensor comes in that you get with these. But that's going to be great for people with an Oculus, because I think, personally, I'm not the authority on VR, but it's just, if you're going to do something and be immersed in it, it makes all the difference from just being restricted to a pad to being able to reach out and touch. Like you, Antony, you said you saw Batman's hands and they were your hands. And there's something about that. It breaks that barrier of immersion, and I think it's a wonderful thing. So I'm really happy that these are coming out, and I can't wait to hear how well they work and the different experiences that will be brought out for the touch controllers for Oculus. So that's awesome.
So from what you know, do you know how compatible both sets of controllers are? Is there functionality in one that would exclude games from working with them? Is one so different that either that common centre of games will just ignore that functionality, or are they just so close that it doesn't matter?
Do you mean Oculus touch controllers versus Vive controllers?
Yes, sorry, yeah.
I wouldn't have thought so, because they're both designed to do the same thing, which is to give you your virtual pair of hands within the virtual space. So unless, looking at the Oculus controllers compared to the Vive controllers, they're essentially, apart from the shape, they look like they're the same sort of thing. Now, you can play, at the moment, as far as I'm aware, maybe not 100%, but probably 90% of Oculus games on Vive using the Revive plugin injector software. But the thing is, those games, because touch isn't out yet, or the Oculus catalogue is all sort of joypad based or just move your head based, yeah. But I would imagine they would work fine with Vive. Well, I don't know. I suppose it would be down to the guy that's doing this middleware layer. He'd have to look at that. But I imagine as well, on top of that, it would be how the sensors work. If it's a completely different sort of algorithm and detection system for the Oculus, the way that their sensors work, then it may be that it can't be done through. It can't be replicated from one system to another.
Yeah,
because
I can see. Yeah, I can see where the differences would come, because we're talking about the fidelity even earlier with PSVR. I just hope, especially because these are coming out after, that there is that comparable functionality, because especially when Palmer Luckey, when he wasn't posting memes, was early on talking about how that the whole first gen should sell VR as a platform and not try and divide and conquer. I hope they live up to this, that these are actually try to be common, in the same way that an Xbox and Xbox and PlayStation pads are effectively the same, just with different symbols.
Yeah, I mean, we've alluded to that before, and it was strange, but since saying that, they already, after the Facebook acquisition, they tried to close it off as an exclusive platform, which sort of went in the face of them saying that anyway. But after this Revive injector software, they tried to close it off, but then because to open it up again, it cancelled all their DRM. And then Oculus did a turnaround on that and said, oh, it's okay, you can do it now. So they've sort of took a back step there and sort of tried to show people that they are open again. So that's been sort of up and down. But I think they did say that they wanted to do that. I get the impression that Oculus would rather just be closed. The thing is, they will do exactly the same thing. So then developers would be able to develop for each, because, there's no special thing about the Oculus touch controllers that I've read about that's different than the Vive controllers. It's just about giving you the hands in the space, whether that's going to metamorphosize itself to be a gun, a scalpel, just a pair of hands, whatever the game wants you to be. So, there'd be no reason why, if the dev wanted to go from one to the other, that they couldn't do that. But I think there would be a limit of games working on Oculus using the touch controllers. They may not just work straight out of the box to Vive. They may need to, be redone and rejigged for the Vive's room sensing system. But I don't think there'd be a problem with it. If you want to, the thing is with this, and we talked about it before, really, a lot of people buying this stuff, like me, really, because I'd never had to go on Vive. I had a few goes on Oculus at conventions and stuff, but a lot of people are just buying this with faith. Now, if you haven't got that much faith, you probably want to have a go on one. And I noticed that Oculus have got quite a great demo location website going on. So if you go to live.oculus.com/search, you can just put your postcode in and it'll find the nearest Oculus place near you where you can have a go. And I thought this might not work for here. I thought it'd be maybe US orientated. But I popped it in, and there was a few that came up, and so the nearest one to me is Manchester, which is about an hour's drive. Which, if I was thinking of stumping up the money, I think that was worth going to do. So I don't know. I know for Antony that'll work well. Maybe it'll be Birmingham for you, James. But it's very quick, and I thought it'd say nothing in UK, to be honest. So I was surprised that there were a few outlets you can go and have a go. So if you're interested and curious and you haven't had a go yet, you can try this website. We'll put a link in the show notes. Pop your postcode in. You never know. You might be lucky. There might be one quite close, and you can go and book a session.
I've got one not far. I've got one at Bluewater, where I go to regularly. I've got one at Bluewater, so I might even see if I can try and book something in. I'm there on the 28th seeing Doctor Strange at the IMAX.
Oh, I thought it was your GP for a minute.
Yeah. I've got this rash. No, so Doctor Strange. I'm going to see Doctor Strange at IMAX, have a Five Guys, and then maybe a little bit of Oculus as well. And then I can compare as well how that's going with PlayStation.
Yeah, why ever not? So that's the Touch, which is great. A little bit late, but it's here nevertheless. So it'll be here very soon. And also, there was a big convention for Oculus the other day, Oculus Connect. So that was on Thursday gone, so it was about, what will that have been, last week. And
is this how they're doing their full body tracking with Kinect?
Yeah, you see, it didn't work with the Xbox, but that was because it was actually built for an HD.
It's ahead of its time.
Yeah, it was. It was that far ahead of its time. So what they said, Mark Zuckerberg took the stage and he told the audience they had no new hardware to show. But he said they were working on a new Oculus prototype, project named Santa Cruz, and this is pretty awesome. It's a wires-free solution that gives you the mobility of your Gear VR, etc., but with the fidelity of Oculus Rift. So, untethered VR to the standard of Oculus or Vive, essentially, using some kind of, they call it inside-out tracking. I'm not sure how it works. The information that I've read, they weren't allowed to take any pictures and stuff. But the people that tested it said, yeah, it worked okay. And I saw a video of a guy, a split-screen video of him walking around the room paired with what he saw in the VR. And, it's what you'd expect to watch in a Vive video. And he sort of leaned over I think it was a skyscraper or something, and looked down. But yet he wasn't tethered to a computer. So I presume it's going to be maybe wireless. The headset looks very similar to the normal Oculus. So, I unless they've got some kind of very miniaturized technology running it in the back, maybe it's done with some kind of wireless tech. But yeah, I think that's a really exciting prospect. It's not due anytime soon, but if you have a look, if you Google that, there is some footage and some information out there. So yeah, it does away with the separate sensor camera, and it uses 4 cameras on the headset to map the space as you walk around. So the progress, the rate of progress here it's coming on leaps and bounds, isn't it?
Absolutely. I was just about to say that I'm surprised we got here so quickly. And I'll stick a note to that link that you put in the show notes, Darren, to the PC Gamer article, because it does show. There's some really nice pictures that shows that little. It's almost like a little computer at the back of the head, where the device kind of plugs into using a HDMI and a USB. But that's really interesting. And obviously, you can imagine that, okay, there might be something big and heavy at the back there, but imagine what version 2, 3 of this is going to be like. You're very, very, I can see HoloLens and VR. I can see that kind of mixed reality and VR kind of merging quite quickly, quite rapidly.
More quickly than we thought. I mean, look at the size of this.
Absolutely.
Compared to the HoloLens first prototype, that's pretty hefty. You're looking at this, and I've just read further down the article, and I hadn't noticed it before, but it says there's no PCs and no wireless streaming of any kind, and it's all self-contained within it.
It's all by that.
Yeah, which is staggering. Yeah. It's amazing. So yeah, that's pretty cool, And I suppose it invites the question of when would you want to step into VR, because I wonder how quickly these will be consumer units. It'll be interesting to watch it. And the thing is, which comes on to my next point, he also announced that Facebook has already invested $250 million into the VR platform, and they plan to invest another $250 million into future investments. So there's no shortage of cash from Facebook's point of view. They're not shy of throwing it at this virtual reality future. So yeah, it's, you know, that kind of money we're going to see. We're going to see these improvements, and that in itself is just it's a great improvement.
That's fantastic. That's really cool. Yeah, like I say, I will stick a link in the show notes.
Oculus definitely stepping it up. I mean, the first VR headset to be sort of light, offer the fidelity or equal to or greater than Oculus Stroke 5. It's just the sky's the limit, really, and no PC required. You know, it's good. It makes me sweat a bit about should I have got a Vive, to be honest. But we'll see how long it takes for that tech to come out. The next item on the agenda, that's Oculus Corner finished. We've rounded that corner and we're on to VR marketing. How effective is it? Well, Australia's VR tourism campaign used VR videos, 360 videos that you could view in VR, to advertise coming to Australia. And they say that there was a 64% degree of increased engagement thanks to these videos, which is sort of an unprecedented level. So it made me think that's awesome. You know, you can, obviously, it's like, well, look around the Barrier Reef, come and see what Australia's got. But it just made me think of the other facets that VR advertising could be used for, and I suppose twinned with the progress that I believe is probably something that's inevitable, of the shrinking down of the technology and it being, you know, easier to wear and things like that, probably more from an augmented stroke mixed reality point of view. But, you know, you're going to be surrounded by adverts. Now, I don't really love adverts or anything, but I suppose there'll be targeted adverts that'll be really effective and that you'll actually want to do the adverts because they're so kind of breathtaking. I remember when I first got my 5.1 system many, many years ago, and it wasn't really available on mainstream TV, and the guy in the shop said the best way you're going to hear this stereo effect is through the adverts because they pay for it. And then I'd look forward to the adverts, and you can imagine walking around the world, like on the train and stuff, there'll be adverts that, if you looked at them with the naked eye, wouldn't be anything. Maybe it's just a QR code, and then that just registers with your mixed reality, and then you see advertising all around you. Now, it's kind of good and bad.
This sounds like a horrific future.
It does. I saw this clip, and I should get it actually, and I should try and find it again. But it was an idea of what it could be like in the future, and it was from a first person perspective, walking through a supermarket. I think it was in Japan, and you could not see hardly any reality for the dancing cyber stuff in front of you. You know, everything was just like everywhere. You know, like, I can't even imagine that. Blade Runner times a million. But it was really, and it was a bit horrifying. And then when you took the sort of glasses off, there were just white cards everywhere that were triggering that into the digital medium that you were wearing, and it was a bit scary. So I think for me, yeah, that would be good at first, like, oh wow, but then when the whole world gets covered in it, it's like, oh no.
Yeah, you think a lot of especially the tourism boards, they're going to really sink their teeth into just the novelty factor. And nature's always been a really good one at showing this off. You know, from 1080p to HDR to 4K. You know, getting how often do you walk into like John Lewis or Curry's and see like butterflies and flowers, or, you know, big vistas of rainforests and things? Tourist boards are going to sell themselves a treat with this initially, but I think there's going to be a massive drop-off very quickly.
Yeah, the Pokemon Go effect.
Yeah,
yeah, I could imagine that, exactly, you know. And I could imagine it'd have a really good sort of angle for estate agencies, for Rightmove and things like that. Because you could sort of, you know how you get the pictures online now and you can sort of look around a house quite easily on your iPad.
Yeah.
Well, you could, you know, they might even still be doing these. I mean, they might be already doing these for all I know. But to be able to do sort of a VR tour of a house that you're thinking of buying without having to make an appointment would be pretty cool. I always love looking around houses anyway. I'd be on there just having a look. But yeah, I think there's some definitely good uses for it. But I think people will be turning it off looking for that VR ad blocker pretty quick. And the final piece of news that we've got for you today is, as reluctant as I am to add any baking conversation to the podcast.
Yeah.
But for you guys and you guys alone, gaming and the Bake Off are going to fuse in a VR paradise. So,
yes, VR Bake Off. I'm in.
Unfortunately, maybe if this is successful, we'll get that, and you can sort of all take part in it. That'd be quite interesting. But Mike Bithell, creator of Volume and Thomas Was Alone, he's working on a VR game called Earthshape.
Yes.
And Sue Perkins is going to be doing the voice. One of the voices, a suspected main character voice in that game.
Yeah, fantastic.
So there you go. So you're going to be able to hear Sue's commentary as you enjoy. That VR game, Earthshape, but I think it's a Google VR game, so I'm not sure if it's going to be on anything that we've got.
No, unfortunately, it is a Google VR game, and the art style of it just looks absolutely superb. I'm actually trying to find who the artist is who has lended her talents to this, because her Twitter feed is fantastic. She's done some sketches of which will make kind of you guys chuckle, which is a Pokemon, and they've basically got kind of like what a Pokeball looks like inside, and it's got a really squished,
Pikachu?
really funny looking Pikachu.
Yeah.
Yes, that was it. Yes, I think I did retweet it on over the weekend, but it's her art style, her whole Twitter feed is just glorious. It's gorgeous.
Oh, that's brilliant. I'd love to see that picture. I'll have to look it up.
I will find it and send it to you.
Oh, thank you, mate. Thank you. But yeah, so there you go. VR, games, and Sue Perkins. What more could you want apart from the Bake Off VR experience?
And of course, Darren, as you know, there's only 3 more episodes left of the Bake Off.
Wow. I actually thought that it had ended already.
What? Because
how dare you, sir?
Just because you kicked me off last week so we couldn't talk about it, honestly.
I'm not having him on if he's going to talk about baking.
But that's just really cool. I mean, they should have VR Bake Off. I think that would be for maybe when it goes to Channel 4 and they're hip and cool and trendy with the kids. Can
you imagine
it's
just a blend
to happen?
Yeah, blend of Cooking Mama and Overcooked in a VR kitchen.
Because you've got Job Simulator already, which works really well. And I've played some multiplayer games, and you could both have a station. It could work really well. You could throw the pancakes to each other, or the ingredients to each other. You could throw utensils to each other, and you'd have to catch them. There's really a game there that could be really good.
Judged by an overly hair-gelled Scottish scowling man, yes. No Scouser, yes.
Okay,
that would just be so cool. So this game is Daydream VR. It's Daydream VR. It's Earthshape, isn't it? Is the name of the game?
Yeah,
and it looks absolutely superb. I listened to the Mike Biffle podcast. It's a very interesting podcast, and they have been kind of talking about the next game, and that they were very close to kind of announcing it. And it's this. Also, the Volume, which is a PlayStation game, which is available on Vita and PlayStation PS4, it gets a VR update as well, so that gets a VR update. I don't know how that works in VR, but it's going to be very interesting, and I've got it downloaded on my PlayStation 4.
It's a bit of a shame because all of a sudden it's saying new Google VR game. You've got Oculus exclusives, you've got PSVR exclusives, and right at the start, as James said before, there was this sort of statement of we're all working together and it's all going to be together, and to be honest, it's all factioned off, because I would like to play this. But it would involve buying an Android phone and a Google Daydream. I love my tech and everything, but I can't be buying a VR HMD for every brand, really. So it's a shame. It's a shame that it isn't all pushed together as a united front. But already you've got, and you can't blame them. It's business. They're all trying to edge each other out. Admittedly, the Google Daydream. The Gear VR, that's sort of a different level, a different layer. But still, there'd be no harm in bringing that out on the others as well. You'd think it'd be easy enough to do. So we'll see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I will find that picture and I'll send it to you. I'll stick a link because, like I say, the artist for that game, the art style is just fantastic, and her Twitter stream is just a lovely thing to behold. And on that. awesome bake-off note, that's about it for this episode. Big thank you for listening. Don't forget you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at Lost Spark Pod. You can find us on YouTube and also on the Gamers of the Lost Spark PS4 community and Xbox Club. That is getting longer every week. And Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me as Wifermator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Dazwitten on Twitter.
Fantastic. James, where can we find you?
I am Big Sheep on Twitter, Xbox Live, PSN and Nintendo.
Fantastic. And for me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live. I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network and Chessman UK on Twitter and Nintendo. Don't forget, if you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That's feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, you can please leave us a review on iTunes. Well, that's about it. We'll see you next week. I'll be in my VR. I'll be just in VR. I'll be wearing the headset during the podcast. I've got to get my usage out of this. Excellent stuff. We'll catch up with you next week. Say goodbye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.